Hello, hello. I am back. Hi, happy Saturday. I hope you guys had a good 4th of July. I most certainly did. Hello, hello. Hi. I see Augie. I see Abuelita's Journey. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Welcome all new viewers, new subscribers, returning subscribers. What's up? Hello, Sam Unstoppable. NBA. Hi. Okay, we're back to covering Suzanne Morphew. If you don't know about Suzanne Morphew, I'm shook. I'm stuck on this case. I've been deep diving a lot of it, so I have a lot of content on this case that we're going to be covering, but we did already read the first indictment. I'll give you a little background. Suzanne Morphew went missing when she was on a bike ride. Her husband basically shot her with a tranquilizer by the name of BAM, which is butorphanol. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, azaparone and metatotamine. So they're for wildlife. And he shot her with one of those and basically unalived her. He ended up being charged with this, and the charges were dropped a few years ago. And now he has been charged again, and I'm pretty sure it's legitimate this time. The reason why the charges were dropped the first time was because of court discrepancies, etc. And his 2 daughters stood by him throughout this whole thing. And now they have refiled an indictment, and we read it here a couple weeks ago. So make sure you check it out. That was just a 10-page indictment, and it kind of just like gave a refresh on the initial charges followed in 2021. But I have the original indictment, which is over 100 pages. So I'm going to try to get through as much as I can today without making this super long. But we're going to read basically the old indictment that was in 2021. Melly, why are we rereading the indictment again? Well, because the new one doesn't give all the details that were originally filed in the first one. And so basically what happened is the charges were dropped, the investigation kept going. The judge made it one of those cases like drop the charges. I forget what it's called, but basically they can retry the case at any time and recharge him with it. So if there was new information, they ended up finding her bones, which consisted of bleach, and they were able to find that substance, BAM, in her, I think it was in like the femur. They like found traces of it. I'm not exactly sure if I'm right on that. I can't remember from the first indictment, but they ended up discovering that her body had been moved twice after she was murdered. So it's a pretty crazy case. Her husband is Barry Morphew. He is charged. He's locked up right now. It's been a while, so this has been an ongoing case. Originally, she went missing on Mother's Day in 2020. So I have the old affidavit, filed May 4th, 2021, and it's pretty wild. So let me pull it up. We're gonna get into it. So it says the undersigned being duly sworn deposes and swears that this, hi, I always forget to introduce myself. If you are new here, hi, I'm Ellie. Before I get into reading this, I will try to keep up with the chat as I'm reading this, check in with you guys, what you have to say. I know many of you who have already been here in the first live and know about this case. So thank you for being here. Make sure you hit the like button and do all the YouTube things. So the undersigned being duly sworn deposes and swears that this affidavit is made in support of an application arrest for Barry Lee Morphew, age 53 at the time. Your affiant is investigating the disappearance and murder of Suzanne Renee Morphew, age 49, who was reported missing on May 10th, 2020 from her residence, 19057 Puma Path, unincorporated Chaffee County, I don't know if that's how you say it, Salida, Colorado. Based upon the interview, information, and evidence collected to date, Suzanne's husband, Barry, violated Colorado 𝐕𝐸𝐬𝐧 statutes by committing murder in the first degree, tampering with physical evidence, and attempt to influence a public servant, and took affirmative steps to conceal the murder in the following months. So Suzanne was having an affair, and I think this is what kind of ultimately led to Barry losing his mind and unaliving her. She was having an affair with a crush relationship from high school. So I do think that's definitely a motive. And he shot her with a tranquilizer that you shoot like elk with in deer. He was like a hunter of some sort. So pretty brutal, but it's awesome and amazing how science works and how they were able to find that substance in her body, in her bones, after so long. That's pretty amazing. Your affiant informs this court that he is a chief investigator for the 11th Judicial District Attorney's Office and has been employed with this office since January of 2007 and has investigated missing persons and homicide matters. Your affiant has been assigned to assist in the investigation of the case described herein. He has knowledge of this investigation from the Sheriff's Office, CBI, special agents with Federal Bureau of Investigation, and my personal investigation. Your affiant further states that from this investigation today, I have to sneeze, all incidents described herein occurred in the county of, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Chaffee, and within the state of Colorado. So they were originally from Indiana and they ended up moving to Colorado for a fresh new start. Barry was doing like some kind of marital affair thing, you know, cheating. And then she was too, she was trying to get him caught cheating, but it actually backfired and she was caught. And I think he chased her around the house. I think allegedly the day that she went missing and died. I think he was chasing her around the house because a lot of the evidence that we covered in the first indictment like pointed to that. Let's get started. Suzanne took clear articulable steps in January 2020 in attempts to separate from and divorce her husband, Barry. She told her family and close friends about her intentions, secretly recorded her notes and abuse in her phone because Barry monitored it, and confronted Barry in arguments that she secretly recorded with help from a friend, and finally sent him a text 4 days before she disappeared saying that she was quote unquote done. Let's handle this civilly. So motive for murder. She was cheating. She wanted to leave. She was done. She was checked out. He was abusing elk and deer tranquilizers used to steal their antlers. A monster, exactly. Barry, however, initially represented to investigators from CBI, FBI, and CCSO that his marriage with Suzanne was quote unquote perfect, and she had no intention of leaving him. Barry's statement about his actions on the days before and after Suzanne's disappearance have been proven to be false and misleading by the investigation. Barry knowingly destroyed evidence that his relationship with Suzanne was deteriorating and that he was involved in her disappearance and homicide. Suzanne's bicycle and helmet were recovered close to the Morphew residence, discarded before Barry left town in the early mornings of May 10th, 2020. The investigation today indicates that these items were not indicative of an accident, an animal attack, Suzanne being a runaway, or Suzanne committing unaliving herself, or Suzanne being the victim of a stranger abduction. All records check available to the FBI and local law enforcement indicates as of April 30th, 2021, that Suzanne had not used a credit card, nor her social security number, nor has she been contacted by law enforcement, not flown in an airplane, not crossed a national border, not established utilities or housing, nor otherwise continued in her normal pattern of life for over 355 days. Based upon legal supposition, Suzanne Morphew, based on his this lack of proof of life, is deceased. So sad. Within a month or so of Barry moving Suzanne and their daughter from Indiana to Colorado in April 2018, Suzanne sent a Facebook message of quote unquote, howdy stranger to her high school friend, Jeff Libler. Suzanne and Libler, I don't know if it's Libler or Libler, who resides in Michigan, began communicating regularly through 2018 and eventually began meeting each other in 2019. Suzanne traveled to meet him in New Orleans, Indianapolis, Dallas, Michigan, and Florida, where they eventually had consensual sex. By September 2019, Barry took clear steps to determine if Suzanne was having an affair by stalking her at their own residence in Salida, Colorado, as witnessed by Suzanne's close friend, Sheila Oliver. In January 2019, Barry took Suzanne's phone from her when they were in a resort in Mexico while she was talking to Libler, but he was unable to determine Libler's identity. On May 8th, 2020, Suzanne saved in the notes section of her phone that Barry accused her of having a boyfriend on May 6, 2020. On May 9th, 2020, Suzanne's last proof of life occurred in the 2 p.m. hour when she was messaging Libler with a selfie while Barry returned to the residence. Suzanne did not respond to Libler's return messages at 2:44 p.m. and 2:46 p.m. The same time, Barry admitted to running around the property with a gun and placing his phone in airplane mode at 2:47 p.m. Who else placed their, I mean, everybody does, all the killers, but Bryan Kohberger also went in airplane mode, I believe. So the computer activity, the telematics from Barry's Ford F-350, the activity on his cell phone and statements he made to law enforcement in multiple interviews confirm that from 2:47 p.m. on May 9th, 2020 until 5:37 a.m. on May 10th, 2020, he took steps to dispose of evidence of Suzanne's disappearance and death and create a false alibi for himself and stage a crime scene. In recent months, following the presentation of evidence by FBI agents to Barry, he has changed critical details about his activities in the 2 p.m. hour on May 9th in attempts to match the evidence. Since January 2021, Barry has admitted to chasing a chipmunk with a gun around the house while Suzanne was outside sunbathing, shooting a deer with tranquilizer dart to explain a dart or needle cap in the dryer, disposing of the tranquilizer solution during his trip to Broomfield, and following a bull elk down Highway 50 in the 4 a.m. hour on May 10th to explain why his truck would be headed west, where the helmet was discarded. And finally, stating to the FBI on April 22nd, 2021, that he looks guilty from the evidence and God allowed these things to happen. So they ended up finding a cap from the dart, and that's why they're saying, there was a dart in the dryer. And he said, he was chasing chipmunks at first, and then he said he thought she had been kidnapped. I don't think he was chasing chipmunks. I think he was chasing her around the house, trying to shoot her with that dart. And I don't know why he's bringing God into this, but Barry's involvement in Suzanne's disappearance and death can be organized into the initial scene and interviews, Suzanne's affair and her attempts to leave him, Barry's early statements to CBI from May through June 2020, the evidence recovered by law enforcement, witness statements, and Barry's statements to the FBI in 2021, where he tangentially describes what happened to Suzanne when he is shown evidence in the case. The following case synopsis was prepared for this affidavit by your affiant with the assistance of the FBI special agent. This affidavit was edited and reviewed. This affidavit includes footnotes. Okay, section 1, the initial scene. This is crazy. This is a crazy case. He didn't get a lawyer for quite some time, so he was doing a lot of these interviews and interrogations without a lawyer during the first time around that he was charged. Okay, on May 10th, 2020, at approximately 5:58 p.m., CCSO Deputy Damon Brown was notified by dispatch to contact Scott Ritter, later identified as Martin Ritter, by phone regarding a possible missing person who also has cancer. Dispatch further informed that the missing person was Suzanne Morphew, and her husband Barry was driving back from Denver and did not have cell service when in fact he was at his hotel in Broomfield with cell service. It is alleged that he did something to the body at the hotel that he claimed he was at visiting for work, but we think he's doing something to the body or concealing evidence or disposing of evidence or getting ready to. I think that's what happened. Martin Ritter reported to Deputy Brown that he was contacted earlier by telephone by Suzanne's daughter, Redacted, who was attending college at Western State University in Gunnison, Colorado, and did not reside at the Morphew residence. Redacted, the daughter, explained to Martin that she was concerned because she could not reach Suzanne via telephone or text. The daughter asked Martin to go to the residence and check on Suzanne. Martin's wife, Jeannie Ritter, proceeded to the residence but could not locate Suzanne, so Martin contacted Barry via telephone. Martin further stated that Barry told him that he also could not reach Suzanne. Martin told Barry that he did not locate Suzanne at the residence, nor could he locate her after searching the immediate area. Barry instructed Martin to call 911 and advised Martin that he was on his way home from Denver. Martin estimated to Deputy Brown that Suzanne went missing between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. that same morning. And then this is Deputy Brown reporting. Deputy Brown attempted to contact Barry at 6:05 p.m. without success, then again at 7:10 p.m. when he spoke with Barry. Barry stated that the last time he saw his wife was at the residence at 5 a.m. that morning, May 10th, 2020. When he got up to leave for Denver for a landscaping job. Suzanne was still sleeping and Barry did not speak with her. Barry advised Deputy Brown that Suzanne had recently gained an interest in mountain biking and began mountain biking on a regular daily basis. Barry advised that when Suzanne would bike, she would wear a turquoise in color bicycle helmet, and a windbreaker jacket. He described that Suzanne also had an iPhone, which she would take with her when biking. Barry added that Suzanne was going through cancer treatments, and he provided Deputy Brown with her number, redacted, when Deputy Brown requested it. Deputy Brown and Sergeant Lamine Mullinax drove to the Morphew residence and turned onto County Road from US Highway 50 at about 7:31 p.m. They drove slowly, looking along the steep incline along the shoulder of CR 225 for the bicycle. As Deputy Brown turned around the corner, he saw a blue mountain bike down near the ravine close to the bottom of the hill with the front tire pointed downwards toward the creek. Sergeant Mullinax accompanied Deputy Brown to investigate the blue Santa Cruz mountain bike. They saw no indications of a crash, as Deputy Brown noted. Quote unquote, the vegetation around the bike was not flattened in the area where a human body would have landed. There was no blood around the bike, nor was there any apparent damage to the bike. Due to the steepness of the incline, the bike should have been damaged if an accident had occurred. When Deputy Brown moved the bike up the path, he noticed the front brake pad was seized and the handlebars were turned completely to the left, causing the brake cables to wrap around the bike frame. Deputy Brown and Sergeant Mullinax examined the dirt road immediately above the area where the bike was recovered and did not observe any braking marks from a bicycle. So there was no bicycle accident. Oh, here's a picture too. What a psycho. And his daughters thought he was innocent. They still do think he's innocent, Augie. Pretty sure. Yeah, they've been standing by him from what I hear. I want to play a clip about that in a second. But yeah, I believe they're still standing by him, and I question that. I do. Here is a picture of where the bike was found. I had not seen this before. Wow. Deputy Brown examined the front rim of the bike tire, and he observed no damage to the rim or spokes, which he expected to see if the brake had locked and the weight from a rider would have been going headfirst over the edge. Deputy Brown wrote, after all of these observations, I started to question if something criminal had occurred, as it looked like the bike was purposely thrown in this location. Meanwhile, redacted boyfriend, his father, Michael Harvey, and his sister, redacted, arrived at the residence and assisted with searching the immediate area, finding no signs of forced entry at the entry door or any other points of entry into the residence. Deputy Brown walked to the Morphew residence with redacted present. Deputy Brown observed that the residence was well kept and orderly, with the exception of one guest bedroom, later identified as redacted's bedroom. In redacted's bedroom, the bed was stripped of the bedding. Deputy Brown observed in the master bedroom what appeared to be .22 caliber round of ammunition unfired on the floor next to the bed. He then looked under the bed to inquire where the said ammunition may have come from, and observed what appeared to be a rifle storage case. In the main floor foyer area of a storage closet, Deputy Brown observed what appeared to be a reddish-brown substance that was smeared midway on the side of the closet. See, we didn't hear about this in the indictment that was just refiled. These are important details we need to know about this case, because we're going to be deep diving it and there's going to be a trial. So there was blood in the closet wall. In the kitchen area, Deputy Brown observed a laptop computer and documents scattered near the laptop computer. In the 3-car garage area, Deputy Brown discovered 2 white SUV vehicles, later identified as Suzanne's personal vehicle and redacted's personal vehicle. At the time of Suzanne's disappearance, redacted and redacted were on a road trip traveling out in Colorado in redacted's car. Therefore, redacted's vehicle was parked in the garage. They're talking about the 2 daughters, I'm pretty sure. He also observed that there were home surveillance cameras mounted on the exterior of the residence. Deputy Brown described that the placement of the mounted exterior cameras are ideal for viewing any persons or activity coming onto or leaving the Morphew residence. The reddish-brown stain was processed by CBI laboratory. Oh, it wasn't blood, and determined not to be blood. Redacted resides in Gunnison, Colorado. So then what was that? At 9:37 p.m., CCSO Commander Avila brought Barry into the house and advised Deputy Brown that they were looking for a piece of clothing from the residence for the search dogs to locate Suzanne. Barry walked to the master bedroom and pointed to the clothing on the floor in the closet. Deputy Brown observed mountain bike gloves and padded shorts in the pile. Commander Avila took a pair of shorts. Deputy Brown was walking into the driveway when Deputy DeFurio told him that there's barefoot marks inside of the bucket on the Bobcat. Deputy Brown went with him to examine and found that the cutting blade on the bucket of the Bobcat appeared to be newly placed, along with the nuts and bolts. And then this is Sergeant Mullinax reporting. Sergeant Molinax documented that he was present when Deputy Brown was speaking to Barry at approximately 7:10 p.m. over the phone. Barry said that Suzanne rides her bike regularly and usually leaves between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Upon inspecting the bike with Deputy Brown, Sergeant Molinax activated his body camera, as did Deputy Brown. Sergeant Molinax noted that the bike appeared out of place. Sergeant Molinax and Deputy Brown walked down the ravine as they called out for Suzanne. They walked a few hundred yards along the ravine without finding anything of interest. Sergeant Molinax asked Deputy Brown to go to the Morphew residence while he stayed with the bike, which Deputy Brown moved up the road. Deputy Brown contacted dispatch as they had no cell service and asked for the local hospital to be checked for Suzanne. Dispatch informed Deputy Brown that Suzanne had not been to the hospital. Sergeant Molinax asked dispatch to ping the number given for Suzanne's cell phone. Dispatch informed Sergeant Molinax that the cell phone appeared to be off and last known activity was at 4:23 a.m. on the present date, with a general location about 11.5 miles west of a cell tower in Boncha Springs, Colorado. While Sergeant Molinax was by the bike, Redacted approached and identified himself as the boyfriend of Suzanne's daughter. Redacted confirmed that the bike belonged to Suzanne. As Sergeant Molinax examined the bike, he found no scratches or damage to it. At about 8:42 p.m., Barry arrived on scene in his truck by himself, walked up and touched the bicycle and identified the bike as Suzanne's. And this is Sergeant 𝐻𝐸𝐧. Sergeant Claudette 𝐻𝐸𝐧 contacted Redacted on the scene the same day, and he reported that Redacted had told him Suzanne and Barry argue frequently. Redacted added that he was the one who introduced Suzanne to mountain biking about a month ago. He described her mountain biking skills as intermediate level. When Redacted was asked if he noticed anything out of order in the residence, he described that the bedding from the Redacted bed was stripped off the bed. Redacted thought that was strange because Redacted does not live at home. Redacted also thought it was unusual for Suzanne's bike not to have any damage if she had possibly crashed on her mountain bike. Sergeant 𝐻𝐸𝐧 next contacted Redacted, who stated that she had last talked to Suzanne on the night of May 9th, 2020. I believe they're talking about the daughters here. She had last seen Suzanne at the end of April 2020. Redacted advised that she had sent a text message to Suzanne wishing her a happy Mother's Day on May 10th, 2020, but Suzanne had not replied. She also tried calling Suzanne, but the call went directly to voicemail. At that time, she received a call from Barry asking if she had contacted Suzanne. Redacted advised him that she attempted to, but was not able to reach her. Barry asked Redacted to let him know if she was able to reach Suzanne later. Redacted stated that Suzanne mountain bikes regularly during the afternoon hours, often using a wide trail across the highway. Suzanne normally took her cell phone, sunglasses, and a blue backpack and hydration bladder on the bike rides. When Redacted was asked if there was any concerns with her parents' relationship, so there we go, we know they're interviewing the daughters here. When she was asked if there's any concerns with her parents' relationship, she denied any concerns or issues. This is a thing for me because they're defending the dad now and they're denying any issues, but they kind of knew, I think they knew that their mother was having an affair. I think that the daughters knew, and maybe they didn't. Maybe this is just a feeling that I have, that they knew something was off with them. When asked if there was any reason why Suzanne may leave the area, she denied that Suzanne would ever leave for an extended amount of time. She also denied any recent incidents or concerns between Suzanne and anyone else. Sergeant 𝐻𝐸𝐧 spoke with Redacted and reported that she had last seen Suzanne on Tuesday when she and Redacted left on a road trip. She reported last exchanging text messages with Suzanne on May 9th, 2020. Redacted stated that Suzanne works out at the gym regularly and that recently she has taken up mountain biking daily. Redacted added that Barry has mountain biked with Suzanne a couple of times. Redacted denied any marital issues between her parents and described their marriage as very loving. I don't know if that's true. May 11th interviews. Sergeant 𝐻𝐸𝐧 spoke with Redacted on May 11th, 2020, and Redacted confirmed that Suzanne wrote religious devotionals in a journal. When asked to describe her Redacted's bedding at the Morphew house, Redacted said that her bed is always made, her sheets and pillowcases are bright blue in color, and that her comforter is brownish and reddish. Sergeant 𝐻𝐸𝐧 spoke with her on May 11th, 2020, and she admitted that her parents argued a lot and that she feared they would separate or divorce. So I'm wondering if this is the other daughter now. She said that they were not doing well and that it was for the best that they would separate. Redacted reported that they, Barry and Suzanne, were both in an unsafe place emotionally. Wow. So one daughter's saying everything's fine and the other one saying no, everything's not fine. Unsafe place emotionally. Redacted stated, Redacted and my dad are different people, and they, Suzanne and Barry, argue, and I mean they get in fights, and I don't know, they both have just not felt safe at some point. Redacted added that Suzanne and Barry weren't getting along and discussed divorce. When Redacted was discussing if she had ever seen any text messages on her parents' phone, she advised that she does not ever look at the messages on their phones. When Redacted was asked if there was a possibility that her mom may have left home because she did not feel safe, she said her mom would never leave her. Redacted later said if Suzanne would have left, she would have contacted her and her sister to let them know she was okay. Redacted explained that she and her sister were heading back home on May 10th, 2020 with their friend, but there was no plans for Redacted to stay at the Morphew house after the trip. I'm going to try to read this message. Suzanne Redacted was an iMessage text that Suzanne sent at 13:58 that said stunning in response to some photos Redacted had sent Suzanne. In multiple interviews with the FBI in 2021, including one on April 22nd, 2021, Barry denied that he and Susan discussed divorce. This statement by Redacted contradicts Barry's repeated assertions to CBI that he deleted arguments between him and Suzanne on his phones because his daughters always looked in his phone. So they're catching him in all the lies here. Redacted said Suzanne always carried her cell phone with her and had a charging cable on her nightstand next to her bed. Sergeant Julian spoke with Jeannie Ritter, who confirmed that Redacted contacted her and Martin Ritter via telephone on May 10, 2020 at approximately 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. because she could not reach Suzanne. Redacted asked them to go to the house and check on Suzanne, and Jeannie went to the house. So these are the neighbors. One of the daughters called and was like, hey, I can't find my mom. Can you go check on her? And that's who they're talking about here, Jeannie and the Ritters family. They're the neighbors. Suzanne, they could not reach Suzanne. Redacted asked them to go to the house and check on Suzanne, and Jeannie went to the house. She did not locate Suzanne at the house, so she called Barry and told him what happened. Barry asked Jeannie to look for Suzanne's bicycle and call 911 if she didn't locate Suzanne. Jeannie returned to the house a second time, but once again, she did not locate the bicycle or Suzanne. After Jeannie returned home the second time, Martin called 911 to report that Suzanne was missing. Martin sent Jeannie back to the Morphew house once more to leave a few notes posted for Suzanne in case Suzanne returned. Now, this is Barry's interview from May 11th. In the early mornings of May 11th, 2020, CCSO Detective Burgess and your affiant interviewed Barry Morphew. Barry explained that he left his residence at approximately 5 a.m. on May 10th, 2020 to travel to Broomfield, Colorado for a construction job. He did not speak to his wife, Suzanne, that morning because she was still asleep when he left. This gives me Chris Watts vibes. Remember, Chris Watts was like, oh, she was sleeping. We had sex and then she was sleeping and blah, blah, blah when he was unaliving Shanann and his two daughters. Barry stated that his daughters were to return to their home on May 10th from a camping trip. Barry said that he texted his wife to wish her happy Mother's Day and did not get a response, possibly due to poor cell service at the residence. Barry said that he tried to text her again later that morning and again with no response. Barry reached his daughters via text message, and they also stated that they could not reach their mother. Barry specifically provided his route of travel to Broomfield, and in all subsequent interviews with CBI, Barry never stated that he turned west on Highway 50. So that's going to be another lie. Barry explained that his wife's plan for May 10th was to clean the house, get the spare bedrooms ready for their two daughters coming back with possibly a friend to visit. Barry said that his wife rides her mountain bike every day. He added that Suzanne was diagnosed with cancer twice in her life and she beat it. Barry said that he owned firearms and all firearms and ammunition are stored in a locked safe in the garage. It should be noted that on May 11th, 2020, while law enforcement searched the Morphew residence, 2 firearms were located at the residence and they were not inside the gun safe. A high-powered rifle was located in a closet on the ground floor in a closet. The rifle appeared to be spray painted in camouflage pattern, and your affiant could not locate a serial number. A Benelli 12-gauge shotgun was found laying against the wall in the garage. Also, a loaded long rifle cartridge was located lying on the floor in the master bedroom near the right side of the bed. After your affiant ended the interview with Barry, he was told that law enforcement was going to seize his truck to process it. Let's read these footnotes. They're always give lots of good details. It should be noted that when the residents were searched, law enforcement did not locate a charging cable on either side of the bed. Barry's phone entered airplane mode at 4:32 a.m. and he altered his numerous prior accounts to law enforcement to match phone and truck evidence when speaking to FBI agents in April 2021. Barry said he turned left on Highway 50 when leaving his house, the opposite direction of heading to Broomfield, because he saw a bull elk crossing the road. Barry eventually pointed to an area on a Google map that indicated he turned his truck around an exit in Garfield, Colorado, about 5 miles in the opposite direction of his trip. Suzanne's helmet was discovered off the south side of Highway 50, west of County Road 225 entrance that leads to the Morphew's Puma Path residence. So years later, all of this stuff is found on their residence. Then they find the bones years later. This is crazy. This is the same unfired 22 round previously referenced above. May 11th, 2020, the search of the Puma Path residence. On May 11, 2020, pursuant to an authorized search warrant obtained by your affiant while assisting the search of the exterior of the residence, your affiant located what appears to be suspect blood on the apron of the garage near the east side of the 3-car garage. Additionally, it was noted by your affiant and other investigators that there was a Bobcat skid steer parked in the parking area driveway west of the Morphew residence. Next to the skid steer was a flatbed trailer. The trailer was in its tilt position. The trailer bed had some loose gravel and dirt on it. The trailer did not have a jack on it, and the tongue of the trailer was lying on the ground. The skid steer was parked to the left near the trailer tongue. The items were positioned such that the skid steer bucket appeared to have been used to unhitch the trailer from a vehicle, most likely Barry's truck, and set the trailer on the ground. Your affiant examined the skid steer, noted that the cutting edge of the steer bucket had been recently replaced, so there was no wear on it. It was also noted that several large bolts and nuts were lying in the skid steer bucket on the front end of the trailer bed. Suzanne's helmet. On May 13th, 2020, search teams located what they believed to be the bicycle helmet Suzanne would have been wearing. Investigators located a photo of Suzanne prior to this date with Suzanne wearing the helmet, documenting its teal color. The item was located at the following GPS coordinates, approximately 0.84 miles northwest of the site of the bicycle was located, approximately 10 meters south of Highway 50, and about 1.52 miles from the Morphew residence. Inside the helmet, law enforcement located a piece of paper in the top portion of the helmet with Suzanne's name, phone number, and address, as well as Barry's phone number and her daughter's phone number. This item was collected by law enforcement and placed into evidence. In a news story that aired on Fox 21 on August 21st, 2020, Barry stated that he had inconsistency with one-time line, adding that I was only because when I just did it another time, I did something, a mechanical thing to my Bobcat. I was confused and I just found out my wife was missing. Oh, so this is when he got caught in another lie, and they're just stating that because of the news, he was making mistakes in his alibis. This is, a map of where they find okay, so here, I don't know if you guys can see that on the little screen, but here's the bike. The bike is right here, the Morphew residence. So they owned like a bunch of property. So the evidence was still found on their property. The helmet over here, the bike here, the Morphew residence here. On May 13th, 2020, search teams were still searching areas in the proximity of Suzanne's bicycle and helmet, as well as law enforcement driving roads in these areas, attempting to locate Suzanne. During this effort, law enforcement located what they believed to be fresh tire impressions and a piece of cloth with reddish-brown unknown substance on it. Also located in the area of the piece of cloth tire impressions were located. These tire impressions were casted on May 14, 2020 by deputies with the CCSO. As of the present day, these items appear to be unrelated to Suzanne's disappearance. And then this is a crime scene report, CBI crime scene report. FBI Special Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 provided the following excerpts from the CBI crime scene report lab case written by CBI crime scene analyst regarding the interior of Barry's his truck, on May 12, 2020. The interior of the truck was cluttered with several personal items. The interior dash area was dusty and dirty. Regarding Suzanne's white Range Rover on May 19, 2020, there were personal items to include Suzanne's driver's license and credit cards throughout the vehicle. Items from the interior were pulled out by sections or areas and photographically documented on butcher paper. Some of the items collected included a woman's jacket and knit cap in the rear, pairs of sunglasses, and a key in the glove compartment, a CamelBak and sunglasses in the front passenger seat, spa chemicals on the front passenger floorboard, and a Scott bicycle service receipt in the front door. Map provided the FBI using GPI coordinates. Incidents note that the position of the helmet was west on Highway 50. The interior condition of Barry's truck conflicts with his subsequent statements to CBI and FBI that the purposes of his 5 trash runs in Broomfield were to clean out his truck. He was getting rid of evidence. Stephen Stearns, Chris Watts. Suzanne's Instagram pictures above of her riding the bike have her blue CamelBak water pack visible, making it unlikely she would take a bike ride without it. And here's pictures of her riding her bike. Wow. Hey Lily, good to see you, love. It's been a while. Regarding the tranquilizer dart cap on May 19, 2020, a plastic needle cover was located in the dryer drum. This was collected by CCSO along with additional items and swabs from different areas. The needle cover was recovered with sheets from Redacted's bed inside the dryer. So I wonder if he cleaned up blood or something with the beds, but not, because it says that it was recovered with the sheets. Interesting. Section 2, Suzanne's attempt to leave Barry and her affair. Oh, here we go. Suzanne told numerous close friends, her daughters and Barry, that she wanted out of her marriage. Yet Barry refused to listen to her. She suspected Barry of having affairs for years and kept her affair very secretive to protect her daughters and family of Jeff Libler. A small portion of interviews and evidence of her attempts to leave Barry and of her affair follows. This is going to be good. Give me 1 second. I need to get a drink. Okay, on May 11th, 2020, CCSO Detective Bridges conducted a phone interview with Sheila Oliver, Suzanne's best friend who lives in Indiana, because they used to live in Indiana before moving to Colorado for a fresh start. Sheila had constant communication with Suzanne via text messages and Snapchats until Saturday, May 9th, 2020. Sheila said that Suzanne promptly checks her Snapchat messages, and Sheila was worried that Suzanne did not read 3 Snapchats from her on May 9th at 6:40 p.m. and 6:48 p.m. Suzanne had been very excited about the wedding of Sheila's daughter on May 10th. Suzanne was helping Sheila prepare and eager to watch it online. Sheila provided text with Suzanne with the following. March 25th, 2020. Suzanne says, taking care of myself physically and a stressful marriage. Redacted and I had a very tough talk yesterday. She's weary of the tension here. She knows how he is toward me and almost begged me to divorce him. So I'm assuming that was one of the daughters. Sheila responds, what does he want? Have you talked any more about splitting? Suzanne responds with, he threatens, but I've never come out and said I wanted it today. He thinks I'm holding on till after Redacted graduates. He probably thinks I'm not strong enough to do it given finances. She, redacted, even mentioned a restraining order. I'm sick. I had conversations like that with my 16-year-old. So they did know. Wow. And they're defending him. Unbelievable. They knew beforehand that their father was being abusive, and they're still standing by him. I'm disgusted. Sheila says, he's nuts. Suzanne said, it's Jekyll and Hyde again. Pretty much told him, I can't be healthy and stay in this. Sheila said, what did he say? Suzanne said, he threatens to come home and pack. Ugh. Suzanne says again, he won't speak of divorce, begging for another chance. I'm so torn, but in my heart, I know who he is. And I just want to reiterate, I'm not being mean about the daughters. They can support their father. I'm just saying that I'm a little surprised with all the evidence, but I also understand, I will play devil's advocate, and I understand that, you know, they lost one parent and this is their other parent. I don't know. Would you forgive your dad if he murdered your mom? Just a question. But, you know, maybe they're desperate to not lose both of their parents. And that's very understandable as a human being, you know? During the interview, Sheila also told Detective Burgess that she was so concerned with Barry's behavior that she purchased a spy pen for Suzanne, which she gave to her in January of 2020 when she met up with Suzanne in Florida. The device was designed to record conversations covertly. It is, Augie. They don't want to lose parents they have left. I know, I agree, Augie. I agree. But I'm like, wait, if someone did something to my mom, I would, yeah, I don't know how nice I would be about that. The downloaded audio files of the spy pen conversations will be summarized in a following section 4. We're going to hear those. Sheila told FBI agents in 2021 that Barry called her in the summer of 2019 when Suzanne was in Michigan, asking why Suzanne was not returning his calls. He stalked Suzanne and Sheila at the Puma Path house in September of 2019 to see what Suzanne was up to, sneaking through the woods, and of earlier accounts in Indiana when Barry suspected Suzanne had a boyfriend before they got married. Sneaking through the woods? Dude. Okay, this is an interview from Melinda 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫. Melinda was interviewed by an FBI agent, Richard Tipton, on May 19, 2020 at the FBI office in Knoxville, Tennessee. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 is the sister of Suzanne and last talked to her on Friday, May 8th via text message. Okay, so this is her sister. Aggie, I think you're right, but I wouldn't stand by my dad if he unalived my mom. Right, I know, it's a hard place to be, especially try to walk in those shoes, right? Unless you have experienced something like this. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 is a sister. Okay, so this is her sister. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 sent a text to Suzanne on Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020, and received no response. For the previous 6 months, Suzanne had texted Melinda and told her that things were getting tense between her and her husband, Barry. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 advised that Suzanne told her she had come to realize what a narcissist her husband Barry was, and that she had come to terms with his narcissistic ways. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 described Barry as the one who lives a double life, a liar, an adulterer, a bully, one that has to control, cunning, fools people a lot, loves money, and treats his wife and daughters as trophies. Like, what? This is what Suzanne thought of him. Suzanne and her sister. Fools a lot of people. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 advised that her sister Suzanne was a codependent person and was very dependent on her husband Barry. They lived a phony life and would often put on a front as if they were happy together. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 thought it was unusual for Redacted and Redacted, the daughters, to take a road trip on Mother's Day weekend, especially with the coronavirus pandemic. 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 advised that she received a phone call from her father, who lives in Michigan, on Monday, May 11th, to tell her that Suzanne was missing. So the daughters were on a road trip prior that day of Mother's Day, and now I'm just wondering, this is just my opinion only, like, did they know something? Because why would you go on a road trip? I guess I'm confused why they were not. Oh, they were on a road trip coming back to her house? I don't know. Something is off with that whole thing. On November 20th, 2020, Special Agent Grusing spoke with 𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐫 about the message Suzanne sent her on Friday, May 8th, 9:28 a.m. So this was one day before she went missing. It's hard dealing with harsh abrasiveness and having to show respect. He's also been abusive emotionally and physically. There's so much. I went through a period of acceptance and I feel more anger now. Anger at what I've allowed. 𝐭𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲-𝐕𝐞𝐫 told Special Agent 𝐻𝐭𝐚 that she did not have context for why Suzanne texted on May 8th that Barry was physically and emotionally abusive. She had not discussed those things with Suzanne and was surprised to see her text that. When 𝐭𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲-𝐕𝐞𝐫 found out on May 11th that Suzanne was missing, she said, damn it, damn it, damn it, to herself because she was certain that Barry had unalived her. I wonder, like, if Barry was going through her phones. Hey, Hayden. Hey, everyone checking in. Hey, Ben. Hey, Carlos. Thanks for being here. I wonder if he had, like, found it and was trying to keep it undercover, and then he flipped. Found the text messages and found her cheating, or did he already know and was playing games? I don't know. I think he knew. I think he knew, and that's why he unalived her. I think she was finally like, I'm leaving, and he knew and saw that she was sending selfies to her lover, and he lost his shit. I feel bad for the man she was talking to. His life was destroyed after this. Yeah, it was, Lily. Jeff. He got a lot of stuff, backlash. 𝐭𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲-𝐕𝐞𝐫 described years of Suzanne being a submissive housewife to Barry in Indiana, allowing him to control their finances, and Suzanne's longtime suspicions about Barry having affairs. 𝐭𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 said Suzanne loved Barry and wanted to be a good wife and mother to her 2 girls. 𝐭𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 thought that the primary reason for the move to Colorado was Barry's long-term desire to move there for hunting. She thought Suzanne threw caution to the wind and moved in an attempt to save their marriage and start over. 𝐭𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 provided documentation that Suzanne inherited approximately $208,000 from her mother, Adrienne, passing away in 2013, and another approximate $217,000 when her grandmother, Helen, passed away in 2016. So then the cheating and the affair and the money all were motives to take his wife out. Right? You guys agree? I feel, yeah. We're talking about Suzanne Morphew case. So she had inherited a bunch of money too, a couple of years prior to all of this happening. Okay, notes from Suzanne's phone. I can't believe this case. On July 7th, 2020, FBI computer scientist Brian Turner recovered a file from the return search warrant on the Apple for Suzanne. This file appeared to contain notes that Suzanne wrote to herself in an Apple account on or before Friday, May 8th, 2020. The attachment shows that the notes were backed up to the cloud on May 8th, 2020, around 7:01 a.m. to 7:03 a.m. Computer scientist Turner retrieved notes that contained 60 lines of apparent issues Suzanne had with Barry. Excerpts from these lines includes monkey app, fizz abuse, mental abuse while drinking, New Year's Eve name calling, that I only needed for money. Okay, so she's documenting all of the issues, like the fights and stuff that they had. Wow. Yeah, she was also fighting cancer. She survived it twice. Her port in her body was how they identified her. Yeah, and like I said, they had bleach. They found in the bone marrow, I think, they found the traces of the BAM, butorphanol. I always forget. Butorphanol, azaparone, and methotrexate were all in her system as well. Woman on Facebook, good for business. Lies about deer, pants unzipped. Wait. Women on Facebook, good for business. Lies about deer, pants unzipped. So he was like, his pants were unzipped. She caught him doing something. Trip to Colorado, pen on hand. The spy pen. Wear bear claw, FaceTime, and AZ, angry. Stalking Sheila and me in the house without telling, which we just heard about. Lied and said you needed phone to call Casey. Chased me around resort and threatened. Wait, this is crazy. We had not read this in the first indictment. Yep, all motives, Augie. That is crazy because I said we thought she was being chased around the house so he could shoot her with tranquilizer. And I absolutely think it. He chased her around a resort. Took phone. He took her phone. Not safe alone with you. Can't be trusted. Oppressive. Slams on brakes when angry. Threatened to jump out of car. GUN. I'm shook. Because the new indictment that just came out just kind of like reiterates or, touches back on the charges from the first one. But this is the first indictment. Like, this has a lot of information. Wow. Suzanne's grievance list included multiple references to Barry controlling her finances. Monkey app is an application on phone that can function as a dating website. Threatened to jump out of car. GUN. He's cray-cray. Shame and guilt daily for not meeting expectations. Nothing to do with infidelity, everything to do with your character and who you are at core. Your lack of control over me equals insecurities equals a sick relationship. Situation with redacted when I'm in Indiana, accuse me of going behind your back. Got up and left, redacted me at the table. Left plate, no comment, just to watch TV. Act like I'm intruding in the garage. Verbal abuse. Writing checks for cash out of business account. Wiring money from inventory account without asking or discussing. Money in your name only. He was trying to take her money that she had inherited. Pull redacted in, hurting her. Left 2 times on treatment weeks. Oh, she left 2 times when she was going through treatment. Yep, Bam is the only person in the... Yeah, he was like the only person to have purchased Bam in like the whole area. I don't even know, probably the whole state, I think. Bedroom profession about marrying, having babies, and sleeping together. Don't care about preg possibilities. Hot tub talking to self? ? Accused me of boyfriend and redacted. Wrote in Al-Anon book. Knew I was at phone in bonus. Know I was looking at phone in bonus? ? Yuck. So he's that type of man. Yeah, he is, Augie. May 6, 2020. Message to Barry. Pursuant to an authorized search warrant, Barry's Verizon phone was searched by FBI examiner Jim Stevens, who found an image that Barry likely swiped the message off his screen and swiped the image was inadvertently saved. This message was not recovered separately in Suzanne's phone or Barry's phone. The image appears to be a message from Suzanne to Barry. The date of this message was May 6, 2020. So a couple days at 10:13 a.m., a couple days before she went missing. Suzanne says, I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly. She sent him that. Suzanne's affair, Jeff. The BF stands for boyfriend. The redacted for the cancer medication Suzanne was taking, and 5/6 for May 6th, as confirmed by Barry to FBI agents in interviews in March and April 2021. Upon the recovery of Suzanne's spy pen, Special Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 and Special Agent Harris began prioritizing anyone named Jeff in Suzanne's social media, phone records, or other accounts. On the pen, Suzanne spoke to an unknown male named Jeff while she was in Florida, as if he was her lover, but no last name or phone number was provided. After months of investigation, and after working through a list of about 20 or more Jeffs possibly associated with Suzanne, Jeff Libler, a former high school friend of Suzanne, was identified and interviewed. Libler provided the following information. Hey, Ghost. On November 4th, 2020, Special Agent 𝐭𝐤𝐤𝐸 and Harris spoke with Libler on the phone and recognized his voice as being the voice on Suzanne's pen recording. After discussing his relationship with Suzanne and Libler talking about their secret meetings, he asked to continue this interview in person. He said after he learned Suzanne went missing, he figured there's no way she's alive. He said he is not proud about coming forward, giving reasons to agents that he had 6 kids and a wife and will lose his job. So he didn't want the affair getting out. Libler said when this happened, he thought Suzanne was abducted, so he kept quiet. He stated time went by and did not want her girls to find out. He did not think Barry knew about him and Suzanne or what set him off, other than the fact that the guy could easily be set off by anything, I'm sure you guys know that. Libler said he did not feel like he had anything to add and did not want to hurt anybody. And this Jeff guy got a lot of backlash too, because, he was having an affair with her. They thought they were looking at him for a minute being, guilty of it, but he was, he had alibis and everything was clean on his end. So on November 13th, 2020, Special Agent 𝐭𝐤𝐤𝐸 and Harris interviewed Libler in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Libler said Suzanne's first message of howdy stranger to him in 2018, they began talking on the phone. Libler said he was nervous to talk to agents and what he did was disgraceful. In the summer after Libler's first year of college in Indiana, he attended a party with some friends at Suzanne's house. Barry and Suzanne were a couple, but Barry was not at the party. Libler said he and Suzanne kind of hooked up, but not really at the party. Libler played golf almost daily at the time, and Barry worked on the golf course. Hey, girl dad. Barry found out about Libler and Suzanne hooking up at the party. Upon seeing Libler on the golf course, Barry jumped off the tractor and he was ready to beat me down. So he knew about Jeff. Barry did the whole time. Barry found out about Libler and Suzanne hooking up at the party. Wait, when was the party again? In 2018? So like a year earlier, if I'm right? Upon seeing Libler, he tried to beat him down. Libler told Barry, "You're going to lose your job. You're going to lose everything." Libler talked him out of it, and that was the last interaction Libler had with Barry. I had no idea. Libler said he did not talk to Suzanne until 2018 following the night in Indiana. He explained, "I tell her I'd carried a torch for her all the time." Libler and Suzanne used to FaceTime to communicate in 2018 through though Libler's daughter saw one of their communications in late 2018, and Jeff told Suzanne they had to stop. They did not speak again until around Christmas 2018 because Jeff deleted Facebook, Instagram, and all messaging between him and Suzanne. Okay. So Jeff's wife knew, and then now we know Barry knew too. We do. I think everybody knew what was going on. So many motives. Around Christmas 2018, Suzanne found Libler's LinkedIn account and sent a message with words to the effect of, "I'm worried sick about you. Are you okay?" Libler responded to the message and they began talking again, first in a platonic way, and then the relationship progressed again. Jeff said they communicated through FaceTime but did not physically see each other in 2018. Suzanne and Jeff communicated regularly from late 2018 through May 9th, 2020, and she provided him with numerous reasons why she wanted to leave Barry. Between February 2019 and February 2020, Libler and Suzanne met each other in New Orleans, Florida, Indianapolis, Michigan, Dallas, and again in Florida. This was a full-blown affair, dude. They met up in all of these places and most likely hooked up. During the last 5 trips, they stayed in hotels, talked and shared meals, and had consensual sex. Surprise! Libler had not traveled to Colorado to see Suzanne, partly because Suzanne said Barry had surveillance cameras all around the house. Jeff stated, "Here's what she told me about her relationship with Barry. Not good, lots of fights, very argumentative. Felt like it was horrible for her health mentally. Jeff asked Suzanne if she felt afraid Barry would hurt her, and she answered, he would never cross that line. He's learned. Jeff took that to mean something happened physically one time to Suzanne, whether Barry shoved her or hit her. Agents asked Jeff when Suzanne first said she loved him, and he replied she told him in 2018. They discussed that they were soulmates and meant for each other. They eventually exchanged words of love to each other. Wow. Jeff explained they were soulmates because of their approaches to the world and to people. Jeff said that Suzanne treated people well, not simply for social stair climbing or status benefits. Jeff was striving to be that type of person. He stated he was not a good person, though. He was horrible for having this relationship with Suzanne. When agents asked Jeff how Suzanne took steps to be careful about Barry knowing her travel activities, he said when Barry called, Jeff left the room. This happened once in Suzanne's hotel room in New Orleans. Agents asked Jeff what other steps they took to conceal their relationship from Barry. He responded, we talked about all the time about protect, for the kids, for family, all that stuff. Suzanne knew when Jeff was going to be working on his car, and he never initiated conversation with a phone call or a text. They communicated through his LinkedIn account in 2019 to determine when they could FaceTime. Agents again asked Jeff if Suzanne ever spoke about leaving Barry. He said Suzanne's plan was to get out of the house and to college before Suzanne would probably go on her own. Jeff and Suzanne talked about one day being together. She told Jeff this was not about him, it's about her getting away. He said Suzanne was not happy. Mentally, she could not take it, and it was wearing her out. Wow. Jeff had a corporate LinkedIn account, and he created a second to use to communicate with Suzanne. They stopped talking on the phone in December of 2019. Jeff deleted his second LinkedIn account of redacted after Suzanne disappeared when he thought she was abducted. Jeff said, I didn't want her legacy to be she had an affair with this guy. Jeff and Suzanne stopped talking over the phone in December 2019 because she told him, quote unquote, we can't use the phone anymore. She said, Barry, watches everything I do, and I'm afraid he's going to find out. Suzanne mentioned an incident when she was on the beach in Mexico listening to music on her phone, and Barry was suspicious of her. Jeff said, quote unquote, she started handing her phone over to him and told him, do whatever you want, go through it. This is very, very toxic. Like we were thinking, when we first read the other indictment, like I didn't know a lot of this. And I was like, could he have done it? Yes. But then now I'm like, wait, this is a lot. One big mess. And then he didn't let her leave him. I feel like it's more toxic than we think. And that these court papers even prove. Jeff and Suzanne used WhatsApp because they could talk and leave messages, but there was no phone record of it. Jeff did not think there would be call records of them talking past December 2019. In October of 2019, Jeff had a sales meeting in Dallas, and Suzanne was traveling to Phoenix. She left a day early and went through Dallas, staying at the same hotel Jeff stayed, the Galleria in northern Dallas with the ice rink inside. They spent 2 nights at the hotel together. Suzanne was going to the Phoenix conference to become a certified fitness instructor with the mindset of, quote unquote, what am I going to do if I leave him? She talked to Jeff about Barry's moods and anger and saying, as long as he gets what he wants, everything's fine. Jeff said he and Suzanne had a mutual understanding not to dive too much into the problems they had with their spouses. Jeff knew Suzanne had discussions with Redacted in March or April of 2020 about separating from Barry and getting a divorce. Suzanne told Barry, I just want peace, explaining she wanted it to be peaceful for the girls. Jeff thought that in February of 2020, Suzanne was wanting to break out on her own, but still wanted to wait until her daughter graduated. Jeff said Suzanne felt she had so much felt some shame and that she had so much materially, and she spoke with Jeff about life transformation. Barry held the huge houses and Range Rover over Suzanne's head. Barry told her things like, I provide these things for you. You have the greatest life. You have everything. $1 million home. You have Range Rovers. Jeff said they never made concrete plans, but she told him several times when she does leave Barry, she would go without contacting Jeff for a little while. Suzanne said she was not doing this for Jeff, but for herself. Actually, Barry, you didn't provide that life. That money was hers from her grandmother. Whatever. You wanted the money, Barry. Suzanne's talk of leaving Barry was like a wave with like a higher frequency of waves. Jeff said Suzanne had faith God would provide for her. She would figure it out. Jeff did not know she had an inheritance until he read about it in the media. That's what Barry wanted. In March through May of 2020, I feel like Barry was very much like, if it's not with me, no one can have her. You know what I mean? Like that kind of psychopath. In March through May of 2020, Jeff and Suzanne talked a lot about mountain biking, and Jeff looked at the trails online in Colorado, and they sometimes talked before Suzanne went for a ride. Suzanne put her bike in the car on her way to the trailheads and did not often ride in her own neighborhood. She normally rode in the evening for about half an hour or 40 minutes. In the first week of May 2020, Suzanne told Jeff the girls were going on a camping trip that weekend. Jeff said, quote unquote, anytime she was alone with Barry, she dreaded it. Didn't want to be alone with him. Barry refused to go to counseling, though Suzanne offered. Barry told her, you just need to be who you were to me, and everything will be fine. She can't be. You both have already cheated and disrespected each other. Jeff said he thought two things could have happened to Suzanne, that Barry either learned about us and snapped, or maybe she told him she was going to leave him. Both. I think both. Agents asked Jeff what Barry's reaction was when Suzanne mentioned she wanted to separate from him. Jeff responded he was very much against it. She would say, quote unquote, because he wants everything to look perfect on the outside. Jeff said he does not believe Suzanne reached out to him with the intention of having a boyfriend. He described Suzanne as beautiful, kind, someone who treated people well and was a good listener, traits that attracted him to her. Jeff said Suzanne is naive in some ways because she assumed the best of people and did not see what lies beneath. While Suzanne lived in Indiana with Barry, he acted suspiciously like he was having an affair. Jeff added, quote unquote, and then I can tell you too, over the last year, she's like, I'd love for him to find a new girlfriend and just get out. Wow. She was even okay with him being with someone else because she's like so over it. Jeff said that so long as Suzanne gratified Barry sexually, it was fine. He added, quote unquote, I don't think she was deriving a lot of pleasure out of things. When agents asked Jeff if he thought that or knew it, he said, I know. She said it's not pleasurable. Suzanne told Jeff that she would not completely starve Barry of sex. Agents confirmed with Jeff that he no longer had the phone he used to speak with Suzanne. He explained that in June of 2020, he dropped his phone on his stone steps and the faceplate shattered. Jeff sent the phone into his company and they sent him a new one. The phone the company sent Jeff had all the same corporate apps on it as his previous phone, but none of his personal apps. Jeff provided consent forms for his DNA, phone records, and the logins for his social media accounts. Your affiant served search warrants for LinkedIn and WhatsApp and received records for Suzanne's LinkedIn account with photos and text shared between her and Jeff. Your affiant also served warrants on the Verizon account for Jeff. This is in the area of essay on marital spouse. It exists. It does, Jeremy. Great point. Thank you. That does absolutely true. Libler's DNA was collected and to this date has not matched any known item of evidence collected in the case. So that was a footnote. Okay, so he got the Verizon warrant for Jeff's phone account. The following data was collected. Okay, so number one, from LinkedIn, Suzanne and Jeff sent 59 communications to each other on Saturday, May 9th, with the last outgoing from Suzanne occurring at 2:11 p.m. when she messaged, "I'm on way." Jeff sent a response at 2:39 p.m., 2:46, and 2:47 that Suzanne did not answer. He also sent messages on May 10th and May 11th that were not answered. So that's when she was already missing. I feel so sad for her. Imagine being forced to do that where you don't want to be. Oh, I know. And do things you don't want to do. I know. Verizon records contained 738 calls between Jeff and Suzanne's redacted number, WhatsApp phone number, between October 2018 and December 2019. Suzanne called Jeff 74 times under international calls from the Cayman Islands between January 14th through the 18th in 2019. On December 18th in 2020, agents contacted Jeff by phone and showed him some of the results of the LinkedIn messaging and photos between him and Suzanne on May 9th, 2020. On May 9th, Suzanne sent Jeff a message at 11:42 a.m. that stated, "Guess who's alone again?" Jeff told agents that message meant they were free to talk, and Suzanne was not surprised that Barry left her alone at home. Jeff confirmed that Suzanne's message at 2:11 p.m., "I'm on my way," referred to her starting the WhatsApp. Oh, I'm on WA, referring to her starting WhatsApp. So WA is WhatsApp. So they could share a video with each other. From referencing the LinkedIn messages before and after, Jeff does not believe they used WhatsApp that time or later that day. Suzanne sent this photo to Jeff on LinkedIn at 2:03 p.m. Wow, that's like one of the last photos seen of her. Did you guys see? Wow. She's really pretty. Libler's message to Jeff's message to Suzanne at 2:46 p.m. "Hey, your weather looks great," may have been in reference to the pictures she sent earlier or to Jeff checking conditions in Colorado through the internet. Suzanne never answered the message or subsequent messages by Jeff wishing her a happy Mother's Day on May 10th. From the return of the search warrant on Jeff's Verizon phone, Jeff used the same Michigan switch for all 23 communications from May 7th through the 11th, as he did on the day of the November 13th, 2020 interview with agents at the office of the FBI in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Following the interview, Jeff sent agents a screenshot of his credit card charges for his Costco wholesale card under the name Jeffrey S. Libler for May 2020. Noted our charges in 𝐭𝐚𝐫 for $292.40 at Menards on May 7th and a charge of $26.58 in 𝐿𝐿 on May 9th and Howell, Michigan on May 11th. These charges are consistent with home improvement stores and the dock project Jeff told agents he was working on in the days leading up to and through Mother's Day weekend at his Michigan residence. Jeff also messaged Suzanne on May 7th, 2020, saying that he went to Menards, and Suzanne asked him on 5/9 whether he had finished his dock. So that's like proof that, he was where he said he was. Section 3, Barry's initial statement on May 20th to July 2020. May 2020 to July 2020. Your affiant selected statements from some of the interviews of Barry with CBI through May 2020 through July 2020. Barry's assertions in these interviews are referenced throughout the remainder of this affidavit to include substantial changes that Barry makes in an attempt to fit any evidence presented to him by CBI agents. The following statements were summarized for the purpose of this affidavit. Barry interview on May 13th. On May 13, 2020, CBI agent Joseph Cahill and Detective Robin Burgess interviewed Barry. Barry provided a background of his marriage to Suzanne and his daughters and their living arrangement. Barry explained they resided in Arcadia, Indiana until approximately 2018. At that time, he sold his landscaping business, BLM Landscaping, and other real properties and moved to the residence in Chaffee County. Barry, an avid hunter and outdoorsman, explained they moved to Salida, Colorado to be closer to their daughter who attends Western State University in Gunnison, Colorado. Barry stated that he, Suzanne, and Redacted reside at 19057 Puma Path. There are no other persons who live at this address. Barry stated he has a family Verizon cellular phone account for his daughter, Suzanne's, along with Redacted and Redacted phone. Barry has an iPhone 5S. He did not know the model of Suzanne's Apple cell phone, but knew it was pink in color. Barry stated he is the owner of Sunset Farms LLC, a landscaping company in Salida. Additionally, he works as a subcontractor for Decent Structures, a general contracting company in Salida. Barry stated that he has several contracted employees. His primary contractor is Morgan Gentile. Barry stated that Morgan previously worked with him at DSI until she was fired about 1 year ago. When she was terminated, he hired her on as a contractor. Barry stated he is also a volunteer firefighter with the Chaffee County Fire District. He is assigned to Maysville Station 5. Barry stated that Suzanne is technically unemployed. However, she would complete the invoicing for Sunset Farms. Thank you, John, for becoming a new member. Welcome to Mellyverse. I appreciate that. Let's see. Thank you. Barry stated that he and Suzanne have all joint banking accounts, Bank of the West, Collegiate Peaks Bank, and 501 nonprofit Suzanne R. Morphew Hope Foundation. Barry stated they have other holdings with Morgan Stanley and he uses E-Trade. He also trades in silver and gold. Barry stated he owns a black 2013 Ford F-350, one gray 2015 Ford F-250, one white 2015 Range Rover, which was Suzanne's vehicle, and one white 2007 Range Rover, Redacted's vehicle. Barry stated that Suzanne frequently uses Snapchat to communicate with her friends and daughter. Barry stated that Suzanne also uses Instagram and Facebook. Barry's two email accounts are Redacted and Redacted. Barry stated that Suzanne typically wakes up and has coffee. She reads her Bible and emails. She then rides her mountain bike around their neighborhood and then does other things around the house. On occasion, Suzanne rode the Methodist Trail area. Barry further explained that on Sundays, she virtually attends their church, Salida Grace. Their service is broadcasted on YouTube and generally lasts about 1 hour. Barry stated that he typically works until about 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and returns home. They have dinner and he usually goes to bed around 9 p.m. Barry stated they typically sleep in the same bed. However, if he is snoring, he will sleep in the bonus room on the couch. Barry stated that Suzanne communicates daily via Snapchat with her best friend Sheila. Barry said they also communicate via text message. Barry stated that Suzanne also communicates daily with Redacted, is typically at home in the house, especially with current school cancellation due to C-19. They're talking about the daughter. Barry stated that Redacted and Redacted best friend departed on or about May 5th for a road trip to Utah and Idaho. So the daughters want a road trip from Utah to Idaho. They were due back on May 10th, 2020. I thought she rode in the evening and not around the neighborhood. Lies, Barry's lies. Barry explained that in 2019, his company had contracted to build a retaining wall at a site in Broomfield, Colorado. Two of his contractors, Cassidy and Cody, were tasked with the work. Barry said that the wall was not completed and he lost $30,000 because of it. Barry could not recall the name of the general contractor for the job. Barry stated that on Saturday, May 9th, he worked with Morgan on a job site in Salida. The task was to complete a rock beach on the property. After this job, Barry communicated with Suzanne by text message. They talked about hiking and she later requested him to purchase hot tub chemicals. Barry stated his last text message from Suzanne was between 11 a.m. and noon. Barry stated at around 2:26 p.m. he texted Suzanne that he was done and was headed home. Barry stated that sometime on Saturday, Suzanne asked him to take her mountain bike and helmet out of her vehicle, which he did. Barry stated that he cooked steaks out on the grill. They never even looked at the clock that night. He added, "It's actually one of the best nights we've had in a while because there was no chemicals in Suzanne." He said they put their phones aside. We always hear this when one commits a crime. Like we heard it in the Sebastian Rogers case. The mom is like, colossal popcorn. And then what other case did we hear where it's like they had the best night of their life? And now he's saying like they had a really great night, the night that she was already dead. the detectives think she's already dead at this point, or like missing. And there was no chemicals in Suzanne. What does he mean by that? Like meds? Barry explained that on Saturday evening, they had dinner together, had sexual intercourse, and went to bed. Barry could not specify a time, but believed it was around 8 p.m. Barry stated neither he nor Suzanne left the residence again. Barry stated that he was scheduled to travel to Broomfield on May 10th to get eyes on the site and fully determine what was needed. Barry stated that Morgan was supposed to travel to Broomfield that evening and Cassidy was due to arrive Monday morning. Barry stated that he preloaded his truck on Saturday night. Barry explained he set his alarm for 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, May 10th, 2020. Barry changed his statement to CBI in 2020 and FBI in 2021 multiple times about the alarm to match evidence. Right. Yeah, just the perfect husband, Augie. That's right. Hey, Mike. That is crazy. He is a demon. Barry stated he awoke to his alarm at 4:30 a.m. Barry explained that when he awoke, Suzanne was still asleep in the master bed. That always, oh, thank you, Lily. I appreciate you. This is DV 101. I know. And this so much reminds me of Chris Watts. Barry stated he heard her snoring. Barry said he showered and left the house about 5 a.m. Barry stated he last saw Suzanne wearing white shorts and a white string type shirt. The weird guy in the staircase. Oh, that's a good one too. That is. Barry stated that he traveled on Highway 50 to Highway 285. He traveled 285 to E470 North, I-76, and then to US 36. Barry stated that he went directly to the Holiday Inn and checked in. Barry said he went into the room for a short period of time and rested after the drive. Barry explained that he went over to the work site. After looking at the site, Barry called Morgan and requested her to bring another person. Barry stated that he was at the job site at 10 o'clock-ish. He added it was just a hotel and job back and forth. Barry stated that he drove to McDonald's near the job site and cleaned his windshield. He then went back to the hotel room. He stayed in the room for about 1 hour, possibly watched television. Barry then returned to the job site. Barry stated in response to the question if he ate that day, I kind of looked for something to eat. He said he always keeps granola bars in his truck. He said, quote unquote, I saw McDonald's pulled in there. I don't like crap food, so I thought I'm not going to eat here. He added, so I just ended up eating granola bars. While on the job site, Barry explained that his neighbor, Jeannie, called him and explained that Suzanne could not be reached. Jeannie, who has the access codes for the house, asked to go check the house. Jeannie discovered Suzanne's car was there. However, her mountain bike was not. By the way, the time he was during the period that he says he was in the hotel, I think investigators think he was disposing and or doing something to the body or the evidence, probably most likely the evidence. Barry stated that he had texted Suzanne Happy Mother's Day earlier, as did their daughters. Barry stated that his daughters had not received any replies from Suzanne. Also, Barry stated there's no cellular cell phone service at the house unless the phone is on the HughesNet Wi-Fi internet service. Barry stated, quote unquote, I was at the job site when Jeannie called me, adding that Jeannie called around 5 p.m. Barry left the job site and drove back to the hotel where he dropped the tools off in the lobby. He then drove directly back to Salida. Barry initially said there was no issues with their marriage. Later in the interview, when asked, Barry disclosed they did fight. Barry explained that Suzanne had battled through stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma several times in her life. The most recent battle started late last year in 2019. Suzanne was receiving maintenance treatments at the cancer center in Salida. Imagine surviving cancer twice and then your husband murdering you. Like, what? That is so sad. Barry, that kind of makes me a little angry. I'm starting to get a little angry. Barry stated, let's talk about our feelings now. No, Barry stated that Suzanne started using redacted and alcohol. So she was smoking the weed. Barry stated that this drug and alcohol use would sometimes lead to arguments during which Suzanne would accuse him of being controlling. No, Barry. It wasn't because she was drinking, Barry. It was because you were controlling. Barry describes Suzanne's demeanor as hateful. Barry stated the last argument they had was Friday morning. He denied any physical abuse or altercations between Suzanne and him. Barry stated their daughters did not know about Suzanne's substance use and demanded that information not to be disclosed to them. In fact, when asked, Barry admitted he deleted text messages from his cell phone because he did not want their daughters to access his phone and read those messages. Maybe anxiety meds. Oh yeah, like a Xanny bar or something. Let's read the footnotes. Barry changed his last citing of Suzanne throughout 2021 numerous times, so he's being liar. All of the statements in the paragraph are later proven false. Everything we're reading is proven false. So he lied about everything. April 22nd, 2021, FBI agents showed Barry surveillance photos of him being in the hotel room, not at the job site, when Jeannie called him at 5 p.m. Throughout his interviews, Barry moved from referring to a perfect marriage and a perfect Friday night to admitting he fought with Suzanne often. All of the statements in this paragraph are later proven false. Oh, paragraph 27. I don't know which one that was because they're not numbered. Oh, paragraph 27 right here. So these are the ones, not everything we just read, but just this part. I think everything else is a lie too, though. That's just my opinion. Where he traveled. So being at the Holiday Inn, that was all a lie. He wasn't at the job site. I think he was concealing the evidence and washing himself off the blood. Other statements by Barry in this May 13th, 2020 interview. Barry stated, quote unquote, I just know that there's nothing in my truck and there's nothing in my house. I know that for a fact unless somebody came there Sunday morning after I left. That's all. I'm just being honest with you. They can be there for 10 weeks. They'll never find a single thing. Barry interjected Cody as a suspect that Cody allegedly threatened to kill Barry. Cody's one of his workers. Why would he threaten to kill Barry? Such a liar. Barry consistently throughout the interview questioned why he had not been cleared in the investigation. Barry initially identified the Cushman's cleaning lady's daughter and boyfriend as possible suspicious persons. So he's sitting there blaming so many other people, like that they could have had something to do with her disappearance and stuff. I expected all he said about being perfect. The husband was a lie. Yeah, totally a lie. This case makes me want, right. Barry stated, quote unquote, because if somebody went in and did something and took her and then ditched her bike to make it look like something, then I want you to find that evidence. However, he states multiple times, there's nothing in the house, nothing in the truck. Remember, Chris Watson, the interview, like at the front of his house when he's like, if you took her, bring her back to me. When he's talking about Shanann, I get these vibes here again. If someone took her. Barry stated, and she would get so angry sometimes and even hateful, which is not her. Barry stated during these arguments, Suzanne has stated, quote unquote, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to divorce you. And she doesn't mean it. I know she doesn't mean it, but in that state of mind. No, Barry, she meant it. When asked about working on Sunday, he stated, it's Mother's Day. It's not like it's husband's day. He stated he stayed at the work site with the quote, I think I will be there until probably 6. In regards to the calls to Jeannie, he stated, she calls me and says, hey, her car is here. And I said, well, is her bike there? She goes, where does she keep the bike? And I said, well, I pulled out her car. It should be right near the car. She goes, there's no bike here. Unintelligible look here in the back. And said, well, she's riding her bike. I said, this is what Barry said. Well, she's riding her bike, but I'm a little concerned because I think she said she was going to take a morning ride. In regards to inspecting the clothing, Barry stated, yeah, she doesn't ride without a helmet, and she has a light blue helmet. Her favorite biking outfit is blue. I haven't been to the house to see if it's there or not, but if you guys didn't find it, then that's probably what she was wearing. Was the blue one missing? The light blue helmet, light blue outfit? She's a matcher, light blue shirt, but was that in her closet, or did you guys find it? Regarding the bedding, Barry stated he observed sheets in the dryer. He stated, quote unquote, was her whole bed redacted because I wasn't in redacted's room? Was the whole bedding off? Oh, so he's saying he doesn't know why the whole bedding was off. Barry was asked to voluntarily submit to polygraph examination, which he declined and said he would think about. And then he said he didn't want to do anything that wasn't 100% accurate. He also said they weren't admissible in court. Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐜 observed scratches on Barry's left upper arm. Barry stated, yeah, like that from a tree when we were hiking in the mountains. These injuries appear to be healing several days old scratches. I don't know if I believe that. Nothing like a Mother's Day gift of a hot shot of BAM. So messed up. So he had scratches. So this is Barry on May 21st. On May 21st, CBI agent 𝐁𝐞𝐜 and agent Derek Graham interviewed Barry for the purpose of reviewing the victimology packets of Suzanne that were prepared by the Behavioral Analyst Unit of the FBI. The interview was audio recorded. The following quotes were selected by Special Agent Grusing for this affidavit. Barry states, I just wish that you knew how amazing she was, referring to Suzanne in the past tense. Per Barry, Suzanne began to abuse antidepressants and alcohol to get away from the stress and anxiety of dealing with chemo and cancer. He said it's the only thing we argued about, and he cited text arguments. He added, when she was in that mind, it wasn't her. No. I don't think she was using antidepressants and alcohol to get away from that. I think from you, Barry, you abusing her. Barry said that it was Suzanne, not him, who wanted to move from Indiana. He stated, we, men, need sex. That's all we need and we'll be good. Okay, well, don't speak for everyone, Barry. Can you imagine how scared that poor woman was running from that nurse? Can you imagine being chased by your husband who's trying to shoot you with a tranquilizer dart that he shoots elk with? Oh my gosh, that's just crazy. Barry discussed the pills Suzanne took and how he begged her to stop taking them. He added that she got mean and angry. Barry stated that Suzanne had friends she kept from him, evidenced by her attempting to text someone and her saying it's none of his business, that it was private. Barry said that Suzanne gave her passcodes to him and he could access her phone, but it was very suspicious why she did not tell him about some of her communications. Barry said that he gave Suzanne $300 to $400 per week for spending. He said she never went to an ATM. Barry was the ATM. Dude, she had all that money from her inheritances. What is he talking about? I think this is a lie. And to be cancer twice, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't abuse antidepressants and alcohol. It would be with something stronger, huh? I agree with that. Regarding Barry leaving Suzanne alone on Mother's Day when she disappeared, he replied that his girls were supposed to come home and I didn't feel bad because I thought they were going to be there around lunchtime. Barry stated that Suzanne's alcohol consumption increased after May 6th when the girls left town and she did not have to hide alcohol from them. Oh, coincidentally, 3 days before she goes missing, now she's an alcoholic. Barry said on Friday, I think we jumped in her car and went to Moonlight Pizza, got a pizza and salad. He said they ate the pizza in the car and brought it home to eat. Maybe ate some of the pizza on the way home and ate the salads. Barry stated that Saturday, May 9th morning, he got up early, probably had to put a few tools in my truck. Suzanne thanked him for the breakfast and was perfectly normal, giving him a kiss and goodbye, and everything was great. He told her he would be home soon and they could go bike riding or hiking or something. Barry added that it was a perfectly normal day and she was in a perfectly good mood. Wait, the pizza? I thought they had like steak or something. Didn't they have steak or something? She was in a perfectly good mood. Perfect normal day. Dude, when someone who committed a crime is saying that, you already know they're lying. When asked if anything out of the ordinary happened, Barry said, no, it was a perfect Saturday. When agents asked Barry if Suzanne had been drinking, he said that he did not pay much attention because he wanted to have a good night with her. Barry said they grilled steaks. Oh, here we go. Wait, so it was, oh, so the steaks were on Saturday night. Okay, so pizza was Friday night, and then steaks and sex was Saturday night. Barry said that they grilled steaks and did not leave the house after they got home that day. He said that he and Suzanne laid out on the patio in the sun. Barry said she made soup for lunch. He left his phone alone because he wanted to have a nice evening with my wife. Suzanne talked to Barry that evening about purchasing a house in town for $800,000. He said that Suzanne was not on her phone that night that he knew of. When agents asked Barry if he and Suzanne went to bed together, he replied, "I'm pretty sure we do," and then later says, "I'm pretty sure we went to sleep together that night." Suzanne did not leave the house after they had sex and went to sleep. When asked by agents specifically if Barry used his phone to set his alarm for 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, he stated that he just woke up on my own without an alarm. CBI agents asked Barry why he answered sex as the number one reason why someone might be motivated to cause Suzanne to disappear on the BAU questionnaire. He answered, "Because my wife is beautiful." He added, "And that's my nightmare right now. Like if somebody's got her and sexually abusing her right now as we speak." Not him saying this. What? I mean, she is beautiful. I mean, I could see someone trying to kidnap her, but like, really? Oh my gosh. I can't. Agents told Barry that workers who came to his hotel room following his May 10th departure commented that the room smelled like chlorine. Remember, they found chlorine in the bones. He replied that he had no idea why, and maybe the hotel used it to clean because of C-19. Agents also told Barry that documents were left in the room and asked him if he took any documents into the room. He replied, "Not to my knowledge. There was somebody in the room after me. It could have been his." When agents asked Barry why he did not pick up Morgan as agreed on Sunday for the ride to Broomfield, he stated, I didn't want her to ride with me because she smokes, and I told her I wanted her to drive her car, and she said she was just going to follow me." Bear was, yeah. I don't know. He always had creepy eyes, Lily. I always thought that. I mean, he was a fine fella, but like, I don't know. I got creepy vibes. Barry interview, May 28th. So the other one was what date? I just want to make sure we're keeping track. 21st. Okay, so 7 days later. On May 28th, Agent Cahill and Agent Graham interviewed Barry again. Barry was asked about the tranquilizer darts in his house. He stated that the darts' purpose was to tranquilize bucks to sell them. He said the bucks could then be placed in a trailer that has cubicles. The tranquilizer is a sedative narcotic, and he only did this tranquing and selling of bucks back in Indiana. Barry said he has not used the tranquilizer or darts in Colorado. Okay, one, what the hell? I find this so animal abusive. Like, I know hunters probably do this. Don't tell me if you do this, but he was killing the bucks to take their antlers and stuff. Oh, I can't. And remember, he had BAM. He was the only one in the state, like half of the state, to have gotten this this tranquilizer. So BAM is butorphanol, azaparone, metatotamine. Those are the ingredients. So butorphanol is a synthetic opioid analgesic. Azaparone is a tranquilizer that causes sedation and reduces motor activity. And then metatotamine is an A2 antagonist with sedative and analgesic properties. No, he's locking them out and letting them go with no protection for themselves. Literally the only person with, yeah, it was like in this half the state. What's BAM? It's the tranquilizer. Huge red flag. And they ended up finding it in her bones. So we know, where else would she have BAM from? You know what I mean? Barry interviewed June 2nd. On June 2nd, 2020, Special Agent met with Barry at a house near his residence to conduct an interview regarding the victimology or pattern of life of Suzanne. The interview was audio recorded. Barry said Suzanne might leave him but would never leave her daughters. Barry also agreed that an animal attack was unlikely and that an accident was unlikely based on the position of the bicycle and helmet. So that's on June 2nd. And then it says in April of 2021, Barry told a different story about the documents to FBI agents. And then it says this statement contradicts Barry's admissions into the FBI in 2021 of using tranquilizer darts and disposing of the evidence. Barry talked about Suzanne abusing alcohol and drugs, saying the last time Suzanne was doing well was the first summer we were here, specifying that that was the summer of 2018. Barry told Special Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐿 that he thought Suzanne was abducted by someone. Special Agent 𝐁𝐿 explained that the last familiar violent act that occurred in the Salida area happened in 1980. Barry was informed of the time of day Suzanne was riding, the low traffic area, her minimal exposure in the community, and other low risk factors and stabilizers in her life. Special Agent 𝐁𝐿𝐿 told Barry this looked like an intimate partner homicide, and Barry did not object. Special Agent 𝐁𝐿𝐿 noted Barry listed SEX as a top motivation someone might have had for Suzanne's disappearance. Barry stated that he listed this because of how attractive Suzanne was. What? So he was saying that someone was going to kill her or kidnap her because she was so beautiful and they wanted SEX from her and to grape her. Special Agent 𝐁𝐿𝐿 asked Barry why he only wrote convict for his response on what should happen to the person responsible for Suzanne's disappearance. He replied, "It should be convicted and held responsible." I mean, that's not what I wanted to write, but I mean, inside me, I feel like I would like to physically harm them if they did this to my wife. But when Barry was asked of his last image of Suzanne, he initially replied that he did not see her on the morning of May 10th or remember a last image. Wait, didn't he say earlier? Oh, no, that was May 9th. Special Agent 𝐁𝐿𝐿 walked Barry through his prior statements of seeing Suzanne and describing her clothing. Barry was asked multiple times what his last image of her was, and he did not answer the question. Finally, to elicit some response, Special Agent asked if he had even remembered seeing a lump of covers in his bed before he left for Broomfield. Barry replied that he saw probably just a lump there. The detail I remember is her breathing. So he's saying he saw her breathing that morning. Regarding Friday, May 8th, Barry stated, quote unquote, "But in the afternoon, the text fight, it was like it never happened. She just texted me back and it was like, hey, what time are you coming home? Hey, this or that. Just pick this up or that." Regarding the afternoon of Saturday, May 9th, Barry said when he arrived home, Suzanne had vegetable soup waiting for them and they just kind of sat out in the sun. They sat out in the sun, talked and had a good day and decided they were going to grill steaks out that evening. He said she was perfectly fine because there was no alcohol in her. We find out later, well, if you missed the first live I did on this, Barry was the drunk, not her. So number 34, Barry would later tell Special Agent 𝐁𝐿𝐿 that Suzanne was drunk when he was shown her last proof of life photo sent to her lover at 2:03 p.m. on Saturday. Did that picture look like Suzanne was drunk? The one she sent, you know, where we were like, oh, she's pretty. No, he's lying. Regarding Suzanne's activity on Saturday night, Barry stated, quote unquote, she took the sheets off and washed them Saturday evening. Barry was asked if other people had passwords to get into his phone and laptops of Suzanne. He replied that Suzanne told him what her password was, so he was the only one with access. Yeah, that's really sad. Barry interviewed June 3rd. On June 3rd, 2020, CBI agents 𝐭𝐿𝐿 and Graham interviewed Barry. This interview was audio recorded. The following quotes are selected for this affidavit. Regarding Friday morning, May 8th, Barry stated that we had our text argument. I don't even remember what it was about. She was in one of her moods. When questioned about their activities Friday evening, Barry responded they probably watched TV and Suzanne is usually on her computer. She's typically on the computer, maybe doing a class online. She always looks for clothes online. He added that she did not apologize about the text that morning, like nothing ever happened. Regarding Saturday, May 9th morning, Barry stated he did not set an alarm or recall what time he got up. He made himself and Suzanne breakfast, set it next to her bed, and he said, "I think I made bacon and eggs and toast." Regarding Saturday, Barry stated that he got home and Suzanne had a bowl of soup ready for him. They talked about hiking and biking. They spent the day together and sat outside in the sun and talked for an hour. Regarding Saturday, Barry stated, quote unquote, "I honestly don't recall what we did after soup. I think we hiked here in the subdivision." Yes, we did hike. We hiked the Fooses that night. Then twice. I'm pretty sure that's the night we hiked Fooses. Barry stated, "I know we sat down at the lake for a while. I'd say we were gone for about half hour and a half, maybe." He added, "It was actually a good day. She didn't drink at all. It was a nice, normal afternoon." I think she's missing at this point. I think something had already happened. I think these are all lies. Barry stated that he got back to the house probably around 3 or 4, talked about dinner, and she said she was going to make some potatoes. He said he would marinate the steaks. I'm probably in the garage. I usually tinker around there, killing time. He added that Suzanne was probably doing sheets, added that Redacted's bed was a free-for-all while he was in the garage tinkering. Barry said, quote unquote, "just had a wonderful evening and she was perfectly fine because there was no alcohol in her." He again said he asked her not to drink that night. Barry stated that after dinner, Suzanne did the dishes and he went back in the garage fixing the pin on the Bobcat. Barry stated, "I think I recall seeing 4:15-ish when I got up and knowing that, hey, if I leave at 5, I'll get there at 8. He added, "I probably got up, took a shower, got my clothes on." Barry added that Suzanne was naked the last time he saw her, so he did not know what she was last wearing. Barry stated that he went into the dryer looking for socks and saw redacted sheets, and he dug through some of Suzanne's clothes in the dryer. A pair of shorts was in there. Regarding Sunday morning, Barry stated, "I think I was getting hungry. I went to McDonald's that was close, and I think I was there. Then I decided against McDonald's, but I never eat there, and because of C-19, I think I went around the corner to a gas station and got a granola bar." June 17th, Barry's interview. When questioned about anything recently that might have been a first for Suzanne, Barry responded that she started taking THC, CBD edibles, and oils about a month before she left. Barry reported that she was getting it from a guy in Westcliff named Tim, and Barry could provide Tim's contact. Near the end of the interview, Barry provided Tim's phone number. Barry separately said that Suzanne was buying rugs off of the street and cited that the person from whom she was buying drugs is a viable suspect for her disappearance. Barry's interview, June 25th. Barry said that Suzanne's family, the Mormons, were involved in THC, and maybe they were responsible for her disappearance. What? He said that her family? I didn't know that. He referred to Suzanne's sister Melinda as being wicked and her brother David being smart enough to do something like this. Remember, we heard it from Melinda first, her saying that he was controlling, abusive, and now he's saying there that she's the wicked one, that her family is wicked. He says he's brilliant after suggesting that maybe Suzanne's siblings should be considered as alternate suspects. Barry stated, quote unquote, "sometimes when people are guilty, then they point the finger because of their guilt." Barry thought that Suzanne and Kurt Siegler might have been having an affair. Barry said that he never looked at Suzanne's phone because he did not want to lose her trust, but that she looked at Barry's phone all the time. Barry said that Suzanne had the body of a 30-year-old and that they, women, give us sex. That's all we ever want or need. Barry said, "I guarantee you that my tech from my truck and my phone will exact match my interviews because I know for a fact what I've done." Barry provided the number for Tim for Westcliff, who might be involved in Suzanne's disappearance. Of course, he says she was the worst person, a drunk, a cheat, all the evil. He saw her as his property, just a typical monster. I know. I agree, Augie. No THC and no other drugs were found except the BAM. That's also very true, Jeremy. That's also very true. Which is crazy because THC lives in your system for days. It can stay, if you're not a frequent smoker, it can stay in your system for like 30 days and then it stays in your fatty cells too. So it's longer than that sometimes if you're a heavy smoker. Barry interview, July 8th. Regarding the worst text Barry deleted, he said, quote unquote, if I remember right, it was Friday morning. I was working and she was in one of her moods. Barry stated that regarding Sunday, I went in, got the hotel room, relaxed for a little bit, went to the job site and seen it, then added, pulled several blocks off and left it. Barry stated, that's the McDonald's, the only place I remember going. He adds, I did nothing else besides went to the job site and went to the hotel. Regarding Saturday, Barry states, we sat out in the sun. She was sunning and wanted me to sit out with her. I know we went to Foose's. I can't remember exactly if it was Saturday, but I'm thinking it was Saturday. We took a walk up to Foose's and came back and she read. I tinkered around outside and did things outside until supper and grilled steaks. Barry stated, if I went to DSI, it wasn't in the afternoon. I could have ran back to crib and had him put the blade on. Barry said, I know I made steaks on the grill. That's one thing I know I did. Barry stated, we had a lot of good time together that week. Regarding the argument Friday morning, Barry stated, to be honest with you, I can't even remember what it was about. Footnote, Barry made a similar statement again in an interview with agents Cahill and Graham. Barry said that Melinda and David appeared to be pointing the finger at him and stated, so I don't understand how they're doing that unless they're guilty. But sometimes people are guilty. Say, hey, you know, he did it. When Barry has suggested alternate suspects like Melinda or David, he seems to not recognize that he seems to be doing the very same thing he's explaining that is supposed to indicate a person is guilty. Wow. The alcohol got worse and worse, says Barry, the last 3 months. She was drinking every single day. Barry stated, I just can't remember any specifics. Adding, when informed by CBI about the long phone call on May 8th, adding, to be honest, I just can't remember us talking on the phone. Why do you have like short-term memory? Why can't you remember, Barry? One day before. Barry stated that weekend nothing out of the ordinary happened. It seemed normal and perfect. Barry stated that with the girls gone, Suzanne's phone would have been on all night Saturday. He stated, I think there was some trash in my truck, adding wrappers, bottles, and junk that accumulated over the work week. He said he threw the trash in the garbage can and went to the gas station and got a granola bar. Barry stated, I'm pretty sure when Jeannie called, I was right there at the wall, adding that he loaded up his tools, took them directly to the hotel, told the lady working in the hotel lobby that he had an emergency and asked if he could leave his tools in the lobby. When asked if he threw anything away at the hotel, Barry replied, not that I recall. I mean, I could have, but not that I recall. When asked to be specific, he replied, not that I recall. Barry was asked twice. I'm sorry. I repeated that twice. Barry was asked twice if he took anything into the hotel room besides his backpack, and he replied that he did not. Barry stated, I don't know. When asked by CBI when the last time Suzanne talked about leaving him. When asked if it was recent, he replied, no, I don't ever recall her saying she's going to leave me. Lies. Agent asked Barry if Suzanne had ever told him she was done, and Barry stated, she's never said that. She loves her family too much. And he knew right here that she had, remember the fight at the Christmas party? That he already knew about Jeff. I can't believe it. Barry stated, we grilled a steak and we split it. Barry stated, we had 2 different plates that night. The statement was refuted by Agent Graham, who explained that it appeared only 1 plate was recovered from among the items in the dishwasher. Barry replied that he must have hand washed his own plate. So there was only 1 plate. So you see what I'm saying with, I think she was already gone prior to Mother's Day. I think something happened on the 9th. I think that she was already missing or dead on the 9th. I think everything about the 10th is a lie. That's just my opinion. Barry stated because she started drinking in response to the statement by CBI that he and Suzanne's behavior got worse the minute the girls left on the trip, and she was drinking the whole time. Barry stated after multiple assertions that he did not recall what junk he threw away, that he might have thrown away an old pair of boots that had been in the back of his truck. After CBI told him multiple times that he threw away more than boots, he stated, quote unquote, if there's clothes in my trunk, There was probably old clothes I threw away. He has like a response to every part of a piece of evidence. That would explain his 4:30 alarm issues. Exactly. Barry was told by CBI that he showered at the house before leaving and showered at the hotel when he arrived. He replied, "Showers relax me." He was washing off evidence. Barry stated, "I change shirts all the time," when told by CBI that he changed his shirts twice after getting to the hotel. When asked why, he stated, "I don't even recall changing shirts that day." When confronted by CBI agents that the video footage from the hotel contradicted Barry's statements that he was at the wall on the job site when Jeannie called him, Barry did not refute the evidence. The property of 19057 Puma Path, not including the house, was searched following this interview pursuant to the issuance of a search warrant for the remains of Suzanne. Results were negative. Tips to CBI. Results were negative of what? I don't know. Tips to CBI. As of April 26, 2021, CBI has received 1,485 tips for Suzanne's disappearance. These tips are reviewed and investigated as they are received. Numerous people have been identified, interviewed, and investigated due to circumstantial reasons related to them being in the area or associated in some way with the family. Investigation into a smaller number of these tips is ongoing, though none of them have provided any evidence to substantiate anyone as legitimate alternate suspect or to counter the evidence against Barry highlighted in this affidavit. Section 4, Evidence. Tire impressions. On May 14, 2020, search teams located tire impressions in the area where Suzanne's helmet was located. The GPS coordinates are there's the coordinates. On the same date, the tire impressions were casted by agents with the Colorado Bureau of Investigations for late possible comparisons. Detective 𝐭𝐤𝐥𝐿 advised Special Agent Grusing on August 26, 2020, that only one tire impression was suitable for testing. The Ford F-350 telematics. On May 14, 2020, your affiant prepared a search warrant for the telematic data from Barry's truck. On the same day, your affiant submitted the search warrant affidavit and its service request from the Rocky Mountain Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory. The results of this data will be discussed in conjunction with the search of Barry's phone. Search of residence on May 20th. On May 20th, search efforts were still ongoing at the Morphew residence, searching for evidence related to Suzanne's disappearance. On this date, Detective 𝐭𝐤𝐥𝐿 located a writing pen that appears to be the spy pen Sheila Oliver referenced. The pen was located in a cloth bin amongst women's bras. The cloth bin and pen were inside the walk-in closet in the master bedroom, located on the ground level of the residence. Detective 𝐭𝐤𝐥𝐿 located with the pen, the controller and the headphones for playback and a USB cable. Spy pen recordings. On May 23, 2020, Detective 𝐭𝐤𝐥𝐿 transported the seized Memos audio recording pen to the Colorado Police Department. Some of the audio files on the pen were deleted. However, 2 of those deleted audio files were retrieved during the search and analysis by Detective Rogers. On May 24, 2020, Detective 𝐭𝐤𝐥𝐿 started reviewing the audio on the recording pen. The recordings appear to run from February 2020 to March 2020 based upon the context. Detective 𝐭𝐤𝐥𝐿 gathered the following information. Suzanne communicated with 2 different male voices. One self-identified as Barry and the other was identified by Suzanne as Jeff, the lover. One of 2 conversations between Suzanne and Jeff sounded to be of an intimate nature. The conversation between Suzanne and Barry is confrontational and their voices are raised. Under the file numbered 322-2020, Suzanne appears to place her recording pen in the truck of Barry as he took a trip to Pueblo. The pen recorded him listening to multiple episodes of forensic files to include the killings of Mary Lee Wilson, Donna Payne by Lemuel Smith, the murder of Vicki Lynn Hoskins, who went missing after her riding her bike. Wait, he was listening to a true crime podcast about a woman who went missing after riding her bike. And that literally is what happened to Suzanne. And she was placing the spy pen because she thought he was cheating. Hoskinson's sister finds the bike and discussed it was found in the middle of the road. The case began as a missing child. Her family pleaded on TV for her to return. Discussion also included the location of her body in Tucson being a remote location, how animals had scavenged her bones, and investigators trying to determine when she was unalived. Wait, that sounds way too much like Suzanne, and this was like a month and a half earlier. That is creepy. Barry further lends it to the forensic files case of Walter Scott, a man that went missing but was later determined to be a homicide victim of James Williams. While Scott was married to Joanne, he had an affair with a woman named Suzanne. Meanwhile, Joanne was cheating with a man named James. Williams unalived his first wife, staged a car accident, and married Joanne after killing Scott. Walter was reported to be acting not himself in the priors to his disappearance. Wait, these cases he's like listening to sounds just like the case in this case. A phone call is recorded between Barry and Suzanne in which Suzanne calls Barry Shirley, his mother's name, after he tells her how to cook. Barry asks Suzanne why she has to be so mean to him. Much of the conversation is unintelligible because of the truck noise. Barry listened to other forensic file episodes of homicide investigations during the 5-hour recording session. The pen recording of the argument with Barry. Sergeant Hayes Julian and FBI agents Stephanie Benitez and Kenneth Harris listened to the recordings on the spy pen. The following relevant portions were recovered. In March of 2020, Suzanne told Barry the following, quote unquote, "This is all I hear every day. This is all I hear every day. What I'm not, what I should think. I'm not listening to that anymore. Listen to me. Listen to me." Barry interrupting. "Listen to me. Listen to me. I have lived for years being told how I should feel, how I should act, how I should look, what I should drink, what I shouldn't drink, what I should put in my body, what I shouldn't put in my body. Undecipherable. I fell into this. This is not," I guess they couldn't make out what this conversation was. "This is not undecipherable. Controlling, more talking. If not, it's not okay, front and back." Later in the conversation, Suzanne and Barry were arguing. Suzanne says, "You want me to just," Barry, "No, I'm just asking you to." Suzanne, "Blindly go into this?" Barry responds, "You don't have to blindly do anything. I'll make plenty of money this year to pay you back." So Barry needed money, which we know is a motive. Suzanne, "I don't want to talk about it since you yelled at me the other day." And then Barry says, "I will make plenty of money this year, this summer, to pay you back, probably within a month. This is something I told you was important, and you decided to go against my wishes." Suzanne later stated, "It's all about money." Then she added, 80% of our arguments are because of money." She added, "It's money. It's about money." At 1 hour and 17 minutes, Barry stated, "If you want your money, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to make plenty of money, and I told you it was important. You decided to go against my will and my wishes." Suzanne responded with the words of the effect of, "Not against it. You brought it up and we talked about it." And then this is Suzanne's conversation with Jeff. Special Agent Harris provided the following synopsis on Suzanne's recording with Jeff that occurred during her February 2020 trip to Florida. Jeff is driving north on 75 during their conversation. Jeff talks about a potential job and says he can't take it. Suzanne asks why, and they mention the weather in Michigan in February. Interstate 75 does travel north-south through Michigan. Jeff and Suzanne appear to be talking possibly about trying to meet up around Valentine's Day. Suzanne seems to reference being sure that Barry would be home at that time and would not show up. There is a reference in the Suzanne and Jeff conversation to Tuesday the 11th and Valentine's Day as if they are still coming up and possibly talking about or making plans for those dates. At 21:08, Suzanne takes a call on speakerphone. She stated, "Hi, sweetie, I'm good. How about you?" Suzanne and the male, presumably Jeff, discussed her trip in Florida. She later stated that Barry was flying to Florida and she thought it was just weird stuff, this whole Valentine's Day thing. But I was kind of happy to hear that because maybe we are in the clear. Jeff replied, "Well, like I said, I don't want it to be a stressful thing. I just don't." Suzanne stated, quote unquote, "Jeff, come on, I'm the one who started the whole ball rolling." She added, "I mean, there's a lot that went on last week and I haven't told you about, and not good stuff. So I really think he feels bad about that too." You are not a homewrecker. You are my lover and my sweet friend and the man I love dearly. Okay. Jeff states, I won't. I just want you to be happy. That's all. And Suzanne replies, I'm looking at the man who makes me happy. Wow. They really did love each other. And then this is about the tranquilizer. On May 19, 2020, Deputy Scott was present during the search at the Puma Path in the laundry room and was asked to collect a new dart box, empty, one plastic hypodermic cover, one new dart book from safe in garage, one dart from box under bench in the garage, among other items. The plastic cover was located by evidence search teams in the dryer inside of the sheets belonging to their daughter's bed. These items were sent to the CBI laboratory for testing. What was he trying to do? Hide it in the dryer? Was it an accident? And he didn't even know it was there. CR 105 search. On May 22nd, 2020, at approximately 9:05 a.m., pursuant to the issuance of a search warrant, search teams along with canines and canine handlers searched the property at 6962 County Road, a site where Barry had been conducting earthwork since April of 2020. A local resident had reported heavy machinery being used late at night on Saturday, May 9th. During the search, 3 canines ran blindly and individually across the property. Necro search and the FBI evidence response team worked with CCSO and CBI to remove portions of the poured concrete slab and search through the new construction. On May 23, 2020, a second excavation was conducted at the property in attempts to find the remains of Suzanne. Results were negative. Facebook friend request. Subsequent to the issuance of the search warrant, your affiant received the Facebook business record for the account of Suzanne Morphew. FBI Special Agent 𝐭𝐸𝐸 and FBI Staff Operations Specialist reviewed the results. 20 males, 3 of them with the first name Jeff, though Jeff Libler was not on the list, and 3 females were new friends added to Suzanne's Facebook account between Friday, May 8th at 9:04 p.m. through Saturday, May 9th, 2020 at 6:01 p.m. From a cursory review of Suzanne's account dating back to January 1st, 2020, these friend requests were out of the norm for Suzanne. Though Suzanne received over 20 friend requests from others in 2020, her Facebook account profile initiated no friend requests until May 8th. I wonder if he was in her account. Of the 23 people who received Suzanne's request, none were able to confirm with Suzanne that it was actually her who sent the request. FBI and CCSO interviewed over tens of these recipients, most of whom live in Indiana. Derek Thurston, who received a request from Suzanne's account on May 10th, 2020 at 10:12 a.m., said he knew Suzanne from junior high and high school in Alexandria, but was not a close friend of hers. Thurston thought it was odd that Suzanne decided to send the friend request after not talking to him in 25 years. He added that she did not seem like the type who was desperate to friend people whom she did not know well. Bobby Huff, who became Facebook friends with Suzanne on May 9th at 9:33 a.m., graduated with Barry from Alexandria Monroe High School in Alexandria, Indiana. Huff has not talked to Barry or Suzanne Morphew since 1985. Huff stated that this Suzanne would never see me and friend me on Facebook. Huff explained that her sending of the invitation felt weird to him and not something Suzanne would do after such a long time of not speaking, especially the day before she disappeared. Yeah, why would she add all these random, people? I wonder if he was in her phone and trying to make it cover things up. Huff added that many rumors were flying around Alexandria that Suzanne and Barry were not happy in their marriage, that Barry was in financial trouble, and that he was involved in shady business dealings. Suzanne Phipps became Facebook friends with Suzanne on May 8th at 9:08 p.m. Phipps said that he did not know Suzanne because she was younger than him, but he and Barry knew each other from high school since Phipps was 1 year older than Barry. So all of these people that she recently added were all people that Barry knew. Wade Pulliam called Suzanne Morphew tip line. Pulliam wanted to report receiving a Facebook request from Suzanne on Friday, May 8th at 10:05 a.m., which he found strange because he has not spoken with her in 30 plus years. Ricky King became Facebook friends with Suzanne on May 9th at 9:31 a.m. King has had his phone with him when he received the friend request on that Saturday, May 9th. He accepted the request, though he had no real contact with Suzanne or Barry since high school. King described the friend request also as strange, considering the timing and the fact that he did not know Suzanne or Barry well. The Range Rovers were seized. On May 16, 2020, CCSO seized the two Range Rovers located in the garage at the Morphew residence. These vehicles were towed and taken to the CCSO secure impound facility to secure them for further evidence processing. On May 20th, 2020, your affiant spoke with a Special Agent Dave Donati regarding the Range Rover's telematics. Special Agent Donati explained that the 2007 Range Rover would not contain telematic information, but the 2015 may contain this data. On April 29th, 2021, Special Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐿 advised that the results of the examination by the FBI's Technology Division for the 2015 Range Rover have not been completed. Barry's Verizon records. On May 12, 2020, your affiant spoke with Special Agent Kevin Hoyland. Hoyland requested that cellular records be obtained for 1 month prior to law enforcement being notified on May 10th when Suzanne went missing. Special Agent Hoyland explained these records would be useful to establish a pattern of life for Suzanne with her call detail records. Search warrants were served to Verizon Wireless for detailed record information to include all geolocation information on the following people: Suzanne Morphew, redacted, Barry Morphew, so basically the daughters, Barry, and then someone else, redacted. To date, no evidence has been obtained to include outgoing phone calls, outgoing SMS, text messages, vehicle movement, sightings on video cameras, or sightings by an independent witness other than Barry that Suzanne left the Morphew house after May 8th. So May 8th, yeah, that was the last sign of life, that she was at the house. FBI Special Agent 𝐁𝐿, computer scientist Brian Turner, and Agent Hoyland, along with personnel from RMRCFL, examined Barry's cell phone. Special Agent 𝐁𝐿 wrote the following regarding Barry's cell phone content as it relates to Suzanne's disappearance. From 5:41 p.m. on Friday, May 8th, 2020 through Sunday, May 10th, 2020, all 11 calls between Barry and Suzanne are outgoing from Barry to Suzanne. Out of 58 voicemails on Barry's phone, none are from Suzanne. Barry deleted numerous calls between himself and Suzanne from May 4th through the 5th of 2020. When asked by FBI agents in April of 2021 why he deleted those calls, he said he did not recall doing so and he must have been freeing up space on his phone. On January 7th, 2020, Barry's phone searched "How to Make a Girl Orgasm," YouTube. Recovered from deleted web searches on Barry's phone. He was, oh my God, he was searching for that on YouTube. Barry's phone searched "older man, younger woman relationships," YouTube. Recovered from the deleted web searches. What? On January 8th, 2020, Barry's phone searched the Facebook help page. "I can't reset my Facebook password because I can't access the email or mobile phone number on my account." I think he's trying to break into her social media accounts. On January 24th, 2020, Barry's phone searched "third base, my first hand job, Dear Teen Diary, 9th grade, entry 14, YouTube." What kind of, I'm shook. Why is he looking up this stuff on YouTube? Does he not know he can go to Pornhub? Reference the password reset on Suzanne's iPhone on the night of May 8th. Her Facebook password was reset on May 8th. He was doing it. I'm shook. Are you guys shook? This case cannot get any more crazy, dude. This is insane. On January 25th, 2020, Barry's phone accessed localsnapsex.com. Find a cute girl near Salida and come get dirty. I can't. I just can't. I can't. On March 19, 2020, at 6:44 a.m., a video on Barry's phone was taken of a prescription drug bottle of Suzanne Morphew for redacted. he's being a little nasty little freak, and then he's over there videotaping her and stuff. Oh my gosh, what a monster. On April 24th, 2020, Suzanne sent Barry the following message that was recovered from the deleted message. "Oh, I'm sure your mistress has you all happy now, so you can say you love me, but bully me when you're with me. Yeah, that's love." Suzanne sent him that. The examiner, James Stephen, found the above image as the one Barry likely swiped the message off his screen, and the swiped image was saved. The message was not recovered separately in Suzanne's iCloud storage or Barry's phone. On May 4th, 2020, at 4:04 p.m., Barry made an outgoing call to Suzanne that lasted 3 seconds. This was a first logged call in Barry's phone to or from Suzanne since February 7th, 2020. An additional 6 calls incoming and outgoing between Suzanne and Barry were made that day until 6:07 p.m. May 5th to the 10th, Barry's phone and other GPS sources. For the context of examining data from Barry's phone, a comparison of the locations from his truck as gathered from the return of the search warrant for the telematics, together with the Verizon return from Suzanne's phone per search warrant, are included by Special Agent Grusing. On May 6th, 2020, Barry called Suzanne 6 consecutive times between 8:06 a.m. and 8:13 a.m. before she sent the aforementioned "I'm done. Let's handle this civilly" message at 10:13. That message was recovered as a deleted image from Barry's phone. So May 6th, stuff was already going. Something had already happened. She was like, "I'm done." Maybe they had had a prior fight previous to this, maybe on that day. On May 6th, from 2:43 p.m. to 5 p.m., Suzanne received 4 text messages deleted from Barry's phone prior to seizure of his phone on May 13th. From Barry, which reference, quote unquote, "when I'm dead," quote unquote, "going to see my savior," and quote unquote, "this life on earth is a mere grain of sand compared to eternity." The location activities registered by Barry's phone were abnormally high in frequency during the late nights and early mornings of May 8th through the 9th and May 9th through the 10th while at the Morphew residence. Oh my God. On May 8th, 2020 at 7:06 p.m., Barry's phone called Suzanne while his phone was likely traveling west along US 50. Suzanne's phone location was approximately 3 miles east of Barry's phone. What? The call lasted 73 seconds and was the last recorded phone call from either device on May 8th. I can't believe this. On Friday, May 8th at 7:18 p.m., Barry's phone registered its last event of the day. Its next event was at 6:46 a.m. on May 9th when Barry's phone registered power on. On May 9th at 6:46 a.m., Barry's phone was taken out of airplane mode. Your affiant knows that airplane mode is a setting available on smartphones and other portable devices. When activated, this mode suspends the device's signal transmission technologies like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, effectively disabling all voice, text, and phone services. GPS may or may not be disabled. On May 9th, from 7:22 to 7:39 a.m., Barry's phone registered locations at Tailwind's work site near Boncha Springs. During that time, Suzanne's phone exchanged messages with her friend Sheila at 7:35 a.m. and Greg accepted her friend request at 7:30 a.m. Suzanne's phone was located at the Morphew residence per cast analysis for the entire day of May 9th. On May 9th, from 9:31 a.m. to 9:33 a.m., Ricky King and Bobby Huff accepted Suzanne's friend request. Barry's phone continued to receive messages from Suzanne's phone and sends messages to her while he remained at the CR 105 site until 9:37 a.m. On May 9th at 9:50 a.m., Suzanne texted Barry, "Want to hike?" At 10:36 a.m., Suzanne texted Barry, "Want to meet to hike?" At 10:48 a.m., Barry responded, "No, I'll come home." I don't think that was her. Do we really believe that was Suzanne? He had her phone, probably. Why would she want to hike after she was just saying he wanted to leave her? Or she wanted to leave him? Now all of a sudden she wants to hike? No, I think he was trying to build an alibi there of like her being out on her own. On May 9th, 2020 at 11:14 a.m., Suzanne's phone received a second password reset message from Facebook. Shortly after 11:15 a.m., Barry's phone traveled west on Highway 50, arriving at the Morphew residence around 11:27 a.m. Both phones per cast appear to be at the residence from 11:30 a.m. through 1:40 p.m. So he found all of, I think he was trying to get into her Facebook and see everything that him and Jeff were doing, what she was doing. He was trying to make it seem like there was signs of life. She was probably not alive during the, in my opinion, who knows? I don't think she was alive on the 9th. Or I think something happened that day of the 9th. Barry's phone exchanged 2 messages with Tim Backhoe at 1:49 p.m. and 1:50 p.m. Barry also made an outgoing call to Suzanne for 2 seconds at 1:51 p.m. On May 9th at 2:26 p.m., Barry texted Suzanne, "Done, headed back." At 2:31 p.m., Barry texted Suzanne, "Did you leave?" At 2:43 p.m., Barry's phone at F350 per telematics appeared to be at the Morphew residence. On May 9th at 2:47 p.m., Barry's phone appears to enter airplane mode. There we go. There's my opinion of freaking something happening on the 9th. I think she was unalived on the 9th. Must have an accomplice to send messages with GPS at home and his GPS at job site. Oh. Password reset on the 8th and lots of Facebook activity in the morning. Why not the night she reset it? Why would she forget her password when it's her account that she talks to her lover on? Like, I don't believe that. I think he was trying to get into her Facebook account. And then his phone appears to be in airplane mode. Let's read the footnotes. Fisher told FBI that he thought Suzanne's Facebook had been hacked and checked her account online upon receiving the request. Fisher said he's a close friend of Jean, Suzanne's father, and said it didn't seem like her to send him the request. Huff told the FBI that he did not think Suzanne sent the request, that she would never see me and friend me. On May 9th at 10:17, airplane mode went off. Okay, there we go, right there. 2:47 p.m. through 10:17 p.m. So like a total of something 8 hours. He was in airplane mode. What are you doing in airplane mode if you're not really in airplane? I'm just wondering. Do you guys do that? If so, let me know why you do it. At May 19th, his phone, airplane mode event. Wait, the airplane mode off event started on Barry's phone and the phone was then powered. Oh, and then was powered on at 4:32 a.m. on May 10th. Wow. That May 9th through 10th night, approximately 210 locations for Barry's phone registered near the Morphew residence compared to 0 to 2 locations on previous nights from May 1st through the 8th. On May 10th, Barry's phone's display came on and his device was unlocked at 3:56 a.m. Wait, what? His phone was unlocked at 3:56 a.m., but he said he woke up at 4:30, didn't he? On May 10th, from 3:25 a.m. to 3:48 a.m., the Ford F-350 registered 0 miles per hour with GPS at the Morphew residence as the doors opened and closed multiple times. The doors to his truck opened and closed 80 times. 80. Special agent, it's not noted here, but it was in the other indictment. Special Agent Hoyland noted over 80 events involving the F-350 during this time frame. Okay, I had not read ahead, so there you go. 80 events involving the truck. The location data for Suzanne's phone last registered with a tower near the Morphew residence at 4:23 a.m. Further events of Barry's phone records are documented under the surveillance video Broomfield section. Broomfield surveillance video, Barry's Ford F-350 and Barry's phone. Video footage was collected by the CBI from the Holiday Inn for May 10th. The following timeline of events include the surveillance video, telematics of Barry's truck, and his phone activities to provide his actions on May 10th. She was sleeping, supposedly. She was dead already, in my opinion. At 8:14 a.m., Barry's phone was at the Holiday Inn Express. At 8:41, Barry texted Suzanne, "I made it to Broomfield. Call me when you get a chance." What day is this? May 10th. At 8:46 a.m., Barry walked into the hotel carrying 2 white trash bags, a khaki backpack, a pair of boots, a dark colored item, and clothing with blue teal coloring. Remember, she was wearing her blue biking outfit. What's in the trash bags? You can barely see that picture, but there he is walking in. At 10:06 a.m., Barry exited his hotel room. He was carrying the charcoal long sleeve shirt and 2 white bags and a pair of boots. At 10:20 a.m., the location of Barry's phone was near the lot of McDonald's at 625 Interlochen Boulevard. At 10:22 a.m., the driver door of the F-350 opened in the rear parking space of the same McDonald's lot, which they got from the truck telematics. Barry is seen on video provided to CBI from the First National Bank located adjacent to the McDonald's lot. He is carrying unknown items in his hands and placing items into 2 separate trash cans located on the edge of McDonald's lot between 10:19 and 10:41 a.m. From the bank video, Barry exited the truck, walked to a trash can while he held an unknown smaller object in his left hand and possibly his right hand. He placed something in the can, extended his right arm downward into the can, and walked back to the open driver's door. Barry was oriented toward the inside of the driver's door and the driver's side floor for the next few frames. He walked to the same trash can, possibly with an item in his right hand, extended his right arm into the can, and then placed both hands and arms into the can. He was totally getting rid of evidence. You can't see these pictures. They're way too light. Sorry. Barry returned to the truck, oriented to the inner portion of the driver's side door. After a few frames, he returned with his hands together and walked to a trash can across the lot. He returned to his truck and drove away. On April 22nd, 2021, Barry agents showed these photos to Barry. From 10:47 a.m. to 11:18 a.m., the location of Barry's phone was in or beside the lot of Men's Warehouse. From 10:50 a.m. to 11:17 a.m., the driver and passenger doors of the F-350 were opened and closed at least 7 times in the parking lot near Men's Warehouse. I don't know the telematics and how much this truck, how much he's supposed to be working. Yeah, he is. And how much data they're getting. I almost feel like, was there another person involved? Like, was there someone there? Because who opens and closes the door 80 times? And he did what every killer does, right? They go and dispose, like Stephen Stearns goes and disposes of Maddie's laptop. Why leave home at 4:30 a.m. and go do this? I don't know. This is insane. Okay, let's see. And what is he doing at Men's Warehouse? At 11:23 a.m., the location of Barry's phone and truck were at the Holiday Inn Express. At 11:36, Barry walked into the hotel lobby wearing a black t-shirt, carrying under his left arm a black binder and disorganized papers. At 11:56 a.m., Barry exited his room wearing a white shirt and carrying the binder with papers. He walked to his truck at 11:57 a.m. There's 2 pictures, but they're very dark. Traveling for work, you can't check into the hotel until 3 p.m. the day, so he paid for a night of the night. Oh, good point. From 11:57 a.m. to 12:25 p.m., Barry's phone was near the Via Vara work site for the wall. At 12:06 p.m., Barry made an outgoing call to Redacted. From 12:28 to 12:29 p.m., the location of Barry's phone was at the Holiday Inn Express. Telematics of the F-350 also registered the driver door opening and closing multiple times in the hotel lot. At 12:36 p.m., Barry arrived at the hotel parking lot in his truck. He got out of the truck and carried one white trash bag, larger in size than the previous bags, in one hand. In the other hand, he carried a black container along with a green item, possibly a piece of clothing. At 12:38 p.m., Barry placed bags, a black container, and clothing from his truck beside the curb near the hotel lobby. He then walked to his truck, appeared to pick up a small item from inside, picked up the trash bag, coat, and container, and walked towards the dumpsters at the end of the lot. And so here's a few more pictures. At 12:41 p.m., Barry walked back across the lot towards the hotel lobby with nothing in his hands. At 12:42 p.m., Barry entered his hotel room. Barry does not leave his room per film until 6:03 p.m. The first photo depicts Barry walking towards his room. The second is him walking away approximately 19 minutes later wearing a different shirt. He provided varying statements to CBI and FBI about these photos. On April 22nd, 2021, FBI agents asked Barry why he did not park near the dumpster to throw away these items, and he said he did not recall. In March of 2021, agents showed Barry photos of him carrying a camouflage coat, a black tree container, and a bag across the hotel lot, and asked him what items were in the bag and why he was throwing those items away. He did not provide details and could not recall the items. At 3:03 p.m., Barry sent an outgoing message to Suzanne, "Call me." At 5:15 p.m., Barry received an incoming call from Jeannie, the neighbor. At 5:45 p.m., Barry received another incoming call from Jeannie and Martin. At 5:57, the telematics of the F-350 registered GPS coordinates at the Holiday Inn parking lot. At 6:03, Barry exits his hotel room wearing a black shirt with his khaki backpack on his back. At 6:05 p.m., Barry made an outgoing call to the neighbors. At 6:06 p.m., Barry pulled his truck in front of the hotel and walked into the lobby before walking back out the lobby at 6:08 p.m. At 6:09 p.m., Barry made an outgoing call to Morgan. At 6:10 p.m., Barry entered the lobby carrying 2 shovels and placed them beside the front desk. He made subsequent trips placing more tools in the same spot. At 6:12 p.m., Barry left the hotel lot in his truck. At 6:20 p.m., Barry made an outgoing call to Redacted. At 7:10 p.m., Barry received an incoming call from the county sheriff's office. At 7:21, Barry made an outgoing call to Suzanne. This call to Suzanne was his first outgoing communication to her after learning she was possibly missing following the 5:15 call from the Ritters. Barry made no independent effort to determine whether she was simply not answering her phone due to poor cell service before he abandoned his work project, staged the tools in the lobby, and left town. The call was not answered. The location of Barry's phone on Highway 285, approximately 75 miles from Broomfield. So he lied. At 7:33 p.m., CCSO dispatch called Barry and informed in a 1:32-minute call that Suzanne's bike was found. When asked to describe the bike, Barry did not know the make, but said it was blue with colorful pedals. Barry started crying and asked, "They found a bike?" He said he was heading that way and asked, did they find the phone? Not him crying. Yuck. And I believe they never did find her phone. And it's interesting that he's asking for it because I think he threw away the phone or buried it or did something with the shovels. At about 10:30 p.m., Morgan arrived at the Holiday Inn Express and checked into Barry's room. That's a coworker, I believe. Returned for Suzanne's iPhone and iCloud accounts. On May 28th, Apple Inc. returned records pursuant to a search warrant for Suzanne's account for her email that was associated with an Apple account created on January 16th. This account also listed Suzanne's name, address, and phone number. Apple provides a separate identifier known as a personal ID, which is understood to be unique to an individual subscriber. In the same Apple records, the person ID associated with Suzanne logged multiple updates to applications through the iTunes Store, including for both linked and WhatsApp applications. This indicates that Suzanne had WhatsApp and LinkedIn installed on her device through May 9th, when the last update was logged for each. I wonder if she deleted them and then reinstalled them because something was going on with Barry. He has to sleep eventually, and again, why leave at 4:30 just to check in the hotel and drive around town and then take a nap from noon to 6 p.m. Right. Suzanne's Verizon return. Per location coordinates from the search warrants observed on Suzanne's Verizon account, Special Agent Grusing determined that she traveled to Florida, staying in various hotels in Naples and Marco Island between January 31st, 2020 and February 16th. She communicated primarily with Sheila, Oliver, Barry, Jean, and Kurt. On May 5th, 2020, Suzanne's texts and locations confirmed her trip to Gunnison to drop off Redacted so that Redacted and Redacted could travel together, her daughters. On May 6th, 2020 at 8:44 a.m., Suzanne sent redacted, "Good morning, I miss you already." Her next message was to Barry at 10:13 a.m. stating, "I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly." And that was deleted on Barry's phone. On May 6th, from 2:43 to 5 p.m., Barry sent her the suicide text, which he deleted from his phone. Wow. On May 7th, Suzanne sent videos of the cat Lulu from inside the Morphew house and exchanged messages with her. On May 7th, Suzanne messaged Barry, "Been studying all afternoon. I'm going to bike now. I've got veggie soup on for supper." On May 8th at 7:02 a.m., Suzanne notes folder was last backed up, wherein she articulated over 50 grievances against Barry, one of which refers to Barry accusing her on May 6th of having a boyfriend. On May 8th at 8:43 a.m., Suzanne sent Barry the message, "Sorry, I forgot about 𝐻𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 last night, but I will continue to do your invoicing when you need to." Investigators noted that Barry did not ask if Suzanne was found, but he asked about her phone. And then this text right now about 𝐻𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲, "I will continue to do your invoicing." This text of Suzanne's offer to continue to do your invoicing follows her May 6th text request to handle this civilly and her numerous attempts to separate from Barry. Her subsequent text to her sister Melinda indicates she let the mistreatment continue for too long and she was moving in a different direction. When FBI agents showed Barry these texts during interviews in 2021, he said he did not think Suzanne was serious. On May 8th from 9:01 to 9:28 a.m., Suzanne messaged Melinda, her sister, "It's hard dealing with the harsh abrasiveness and having to show respect. He's also been abusive emotionally and physically." Suzanne's Instagram account. As Special Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 interviewed Robin, a friend of Suzanne's from Indiana, on June 30th, 2020. Robin has known Suzanne Morphew since middle school and was her close friend through high school. She and Suzanne have consistently communicated through Facebook and Instagram over the years. Binford stated, her friend, that she had some problems with the way Suzanne supposedly went missing based on Suzanne's normal routines. On Saturday before the weekend Suzanne went missing, she posted an Instagram story video about her and Redacted, stating that Redacted always surprised her. Suzanne used the Instagram story to take photos to document each of her bike rides. Binford said that upon hearing that Suzanne went missing, she checked Instagram and found that Suzanne did not post anything about the ride. Binford knew that Suzanne was still grieving over losing her mother within the past 2 years or so, and that Mother's Day was going to be difficult for her. Binford did not think that Suzanne would choose to spend the day without her girls and husband. For a review of Suzanne Morphew's account obtained through a search warrant in the state of Colorado, these pictures of her biking outfits were located within the dates. On May 6, 2020, with location Little Rainbow Trail, on April 27th with location Mount Shavano, and on April 20th with location of Methodist Mountain and captions, "First single track and broke my first chain." So these are pics of her on her bike rides. Search warrant, Redacted's phone. Per the Verizon warrant served on Redacted's cell phone, the following message was sent from Redacted to Redacted on May 10th, over an hour before Martin Ritter reported her missing. "I'm just so sad. And Redacted and I texted Mom for Mother's Day and she still hasn't answered. I'm scared her and Dad probably got into a big fight and I didn't even know it. Just made me want to be gone even more because I don't want to be around them. It hurts me, and I know if Redacted is working, I might have to be home a lot more, and it'll probably be the worst summer of my life." So if you're her daughter, why would you be defending the dad? I'm just really confused. They knew something was up. Scratches on Barry's arm. On May 13th, 2020, CCSO Deputy 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 took photos of scratches on Barry's left arm. Oh, these are so dark, you can barely see them. Canine search on May 23rd, 2020. On May 23rd, 2020, search teams along with canines and canine handlers, searched the Puma Path property. During the search, 3 different canines were used. Each of the 3 canines ran blindly and individually during the search. On the west area of the driveway parking area, where a flatbed trailer and bobcat skid steer are parked, all 3 canines trained final response alerted on the top of the trailer. It should be noted on the bed of the trailer, there's gravel and dirt. This is an area the canines alerted. All 3 canines again alerted on the bobcat, and one of the canines jumped into the bobcat and tried to lay down on the driver's seat. The bobcat located on Morphew's residence is identified as a 2018 Bobcat Compact Skid Steer Model S590 and product identification number. The flatbed trailer and bobcat skid steer are parked directly next to each other. That means decomp. So they smell her body in the trailer. Did he use a trailer to move the body? I'm shook. Bobcat SIM removal. On May 28, 2020, Deputy Randy Carrado, with assistance of the FBI Special Agent David Donati, removed the SIM card subscriber identity module from the 𝐭𝐚 device. This is a device Agent Graham learned about that Barry had on his Bobcat skid steer. This device utilizes Verizon Connect services and is a GPS tracking device. Special Agent Hoyland spoke with Special Agent Donati and requested a search warrant to be applied for to obtain what data this SIM card may contain. At present, Barry's use of the Bobcat does not appear to be connected to Suzanne's disappearance. Wait, what though? Bank accounts. On May 20th, 2020, your affiant search warrants to Equifax and TransUnion to identify what credit accounts Suzanne and Barry would have currently and or at the time frame of Suzanne's disappearance. This information was necessary to establish a pattern of life for both Suzanne and Barry, as well as proof of life for Suzanne. May 28th, 2020, Equifax and TransUnion provided the following are open and active accounts for Suzanne and Barry: Indiana Members Credit Union, Capital One, Cabela's, Discover, Community Bank, Fifth Third Bank, and Credit One. Your affiant has served warrants on these accounts and the results are being compiled. Indiana Members Credit Union. On June 6th, your affiant served via email a search warrant to the credit union. On June 9th, your affiant received an email from Loss Prevention. The requested records for the Morphews account. With the records, there's documentation that on June 5th, Barry called the bank and requested his email be changed from redacted to redacted. Oh, so while the investigation was going and he was changing things on their accounts. The dogs first laid on the trailer thought, so maybe they smelled that on the Bobcat because it was on the trailer after. Oh yeah, very messed up. It's worrying that the daughters are still believing him, or are they? Last I heard is they were. Hey Laura, good to see you. 𝐭𝐿𝐥𝐸 Bank. Per search warrant served by your affiant on 𝐭𝐿𝐥𝐸 Bank on May 26th, Barry withdrew $5,846.22 in the Suzanne Morphew Foundation account, which brought the balance to $0. This account was opened on March 5th with a deposit of $5,880. Possible second device for Barry. On June 11th, your affiant received information from the FBI Special Agent 𝐁𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐸𝐞 and computer scientist Brian Turner that while reviewing the data from the cell phone extraction of Barry's iPhone, they found a second device identifier and was associated with Barry's iPhone with an SMS at 3:43 p.m. on May 8th. This user ID is separate from the primary user. The second device was first used on November 3rd, 2019 and was associated with Barry's iPhone 91 times since then, compared to 1,701 associations with the primary user ID since November 2019. So he had a second device, a second phone? Dates this device was associated with Barry's iPhone since May 5th. On May 5th, 12:48, May 10th, so a lot from the 5th to the 12th of May. As of this present date, the second device has not been identified. FBI proof of life, fugitive searches. Was he getting rid of the second phone he had? That could have been one of the things he was getting rid of too. Per the request of FBI Special Agent 𝐸𝐴𝐧, the assistance of the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, the following searches were done through the FBI and in its federal partner in attempts to locate Suzanne as if she was a fugitive or missing person. On August 26, 2020, Agent Brian Palmer, Homeland Security Investigations, checked border crossings for Suzanne R. Morphew or Suzanne R. Mormon, redacted, and provided the following text. I don't have any land border crossings for her. The last travel I have was her returning from San Jose, Mexico to Dallas in 2019 on an American's Air flight number 1385. So they're ruling out that she left town or something. On August 25th, 2020, FBI Special Agent Danielle requested flight information from national airlines reporting agencies and found flights for Suzanne on July 4th, 2019, and July 28th, 2019, and August 13th, 2019, and the 17th. More flights were located for Suzanne Mormon in April 20, but this person did not appear to be identical to Suzanne. We know all of those other times she was probably meeting with Jeff, right? We could assume that. Or work, I don't know. On August 24th, Patricia T. Ellswick, Technical Information Specialist, provided emails of the offline records and checks for any law enforcement queries of Suzanne. The spreadsheet provided multiple queries from the county sheriff's office and the Colorado Bureau of Investigations from May 10th through May 12th of 2020. SHP Cheyenne, redacted, queried on her May 13th, 2020, and Loveland PD, redacted, queried her once since May 14th, both during the widespread news stories. Besides other CCSO, CBI, and FBI queries from the Colorado offices in June and July 2020, the Okeechobee Sheriff's Office in Florida queried Suzanne Morphew 3 times in July 10th of 2020. On August 25th, 2020, Special Agent 𝐸𝐴𝐧 spoke with dispatcher Joanne for the Okeechobee Sheriff's Office and learned that the CBI requested a welfare check for Suzanne Morphew because of the Okeechobee address of her father, Gene Mormon. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Probably definitely not. Suzanne was not located. Wyoming State Highway Patrol Dispatch and Loveland PD Dispatch confirmed to SA 𝐸𝐴𝐧 on September 1st, 2020 that they had no contact with Suzanne, but they were simply running an attempt to locate based on the entry. Nothing of significance in Suzanne's clear report, no activity tied to her since 2019. Suzanne R. Morphew Hope Foundation was first filed in Indiana in 2012, and it was registered as a nonprofit with Colorado State Secretary of State by Barry Morphew on February 21st. OST Plumhoff further noted that as of May 11th, CCSO entered Suzanne as a missing persons in the NCIC database. For checks and accurate, nothing significant was found for Suzanne beside her ties to the Puma Path address in Salida as of May 2020. No electric or utilities were found in her name. Post-Social Security had not been used since May of 2020. No physical addresses or PO boxes for her name or Social Security number were located. Nor were any liens, judgments, or loans. On August 26, Kelly Rose Olson requested a nationwide face analysis evaluation search for Suzanne Morphew using the photo above. The service through the FBI's criminal justice system compares a photo of Suzanne to the issuance of visas and passports, driver license from 18 states and the Department of Defense. To date, none of these databases have provided any biometrics that match that of Suzanne. For checks in the internal FBI database, several financial-related results on Suzanne and Barry were referenced from 2013 to 2018. It appears they had access to large amounts of cash. The reporting parties were concerned about money structuring. On June 24, 2020, Barry made a $20,000 deposit at Collegiate Banks in Salida on Suzanne's behalf. He had a history of making large cash deposits and wire transfers. These same checks for Suzanne's proof of life were conducted in March of 2021 by the FBI with the same negative results. It's another part of the husband, Barry, yep, unaliving his wife. Whoa, I'm from Loveland. Are you? I can't believe it. We're going to stop there too. I've been reading for like 3 hours and we are only not even halfway through the document. It's like 130 pages. And we just read through almost 50 of them. So It's a really good document. I might be back in a little bit to finish reading it. And if I don't come back tonight, I will be back reading this. I will be reading this tomorrow, and we're going to finish it all the way through tomorrow. I think that might be the better option, so I can just do 2 lives. It's crazy. It is crazy. It is. He is, oh, I wanted to play a video of him. He is currently incarcerated. From what I hear, his daughters are supporting him. I wanted to play a video really quick.
Law enforcement, the Chaffee County community, and Colorado as a whole
we watched this.
Has never stopped fighting for justice for Suzanne.
We're giving a voice to the victims this morning, talking about what's ahead for defendant Barry Morphew as he makes his first appearance in court, accused of the murder of his wife, Suzanne. Suzanne Morphew vanished back in 2020. The 49-year-old mother of 2 was reported missing on Mother's Day. Her husband was the last known person to see her alive. Scripps News Denver brings us the latest.
I'm Denver 7's Claire 𝐤𝐿𝐴 outside the Alamosa County Justice Center, where Barry Morphew had his initial court appearance here in Colorado on Tuesday. He was escorted into the courthouse, handcuffed in an orange and white jumpsuit, smiling as soon as he saw one of his daughters there to support him. He's charged with murder for a second time. Barry Morphew is back in Colorado, appearing before a judge in his new murder case. His face lit up as soon as he saw one of his daughters sitting in the courtroom. This 30-minute appearance in front of Judge Amanda Hopkins was mostly procedural. Hopkins outlining standards for media coverage and courtroom etiquette.
Our entire community needs to be able to use this courthouse undeterred. They don't deserve to have to be subjected to this just because there is interest in Mr. Morphew's case.
Though Denver 7 did learn about a possible conflict of interest between Morphew and the public defender's office.
We would anticipate, expect, and ask the court to appoint the office of the alternate defense counsel.
Prosecutors say they provided almost all discovery materials to the defense, except for one witness transcript.
We're prepared to set trial at any time, but of course we've just given them multiple terabytes of discovery.
On June 20th, Morphew was taken into custody in Maricopa County, Arizona. This comes nearly 2 years after Denver 7 was the only station alongside investigators as they discovered his missing wife's remains just outside of the town of Moffett. New details from a grand jury indictment say Barry was the last known person to see her alive. And during Suzanne Morphew's autopsy, an animal tranquilizer known as BAM was found in her bones. The indictment claims that Barry was a deer farmer and the only private citizen living in that entire area of the state that had access to BAM at the time of his wife's disappearance. Morphew is set to be back in court on September 2nd at 1:30. His attorneys say at that time he'll be ready to discuss his bond. I'm in Alamosa. Claire 𝐤𝐿𝐴, Denver 7.
September 2nd will be right around the corner. So Barry Morphew, what was up with that smile when he was in the courtroom? A lot of people talking about that. A lot of people in true crime community also want to know if these charges are going to stick this second time around. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown. Okay, let's start with the defendant's very optimistic appearance in the courtroom. Michael, what'd you think of that?
Julie, I don't know if it's really the optimistic part of it. I'm sure he takes this seriously. If you look when he came out initially, this is a murder charge. And what you really see is he obviously noted his one or two of his daughters are in the courtroom. And that was really refreshing. And it was a friendly face and it's a family member. So I think that was the reaction. I think the media, quite frankly, is making way too much of it. I don't think it's anything more than he identified and saw his children, and that's refreshing and comforting to him. I think that's the extent of it.
You think it was just a glance at one of his daughters? We do know that one of his daughters was there, the other was not. So you think, well, because that's the clip. Obviously, everybody's talking about that clip. Why is he smiling? But great explanation if it was just an acknowledgement of his child.
Yeah, I do. I don't know anything about him, or I know what I read about the case, but that happens all the time when you see the defendant will come out, they'll acknowledge a family member, they'll be so happy and excited to see them. It's independent of the charges. And what happens is they blow it up and they make more of it than it is. He's not taking it seriously. He thinks this is a joke, but I don't think that's the case.
I appreciate it, Michael. And I know you can also appreciate what we're looking at here. So we have a parent holding hands with his two beautiful daughters. Now he's behind bars. So we'll see what happens at his next hearing. Their mother is deceased. Looks here, and this video was taken quite some time ago. They were supporting him. Don't know if that's still going to be the case. Perhaps one is. We know one was present. I don't want to speculate on why the other daughter wasn't there, or what her thoughts may be. But
well, we know one knew what was going on and she was weary of it and concerned about it, and the other one was lying.
How difficult is that in cases you've had where you have one parent accused of killing the other parent?
Yeah, these domestic cases are horrible, and it happens all the time. And now the children will lose both parents. One's dead, and one could potentially spend the rest of their lives in jail. It's horrible on the kids. It's horrible on the family. Everybody loses. But it's interesting in this case, as you pointed out, Julie, that one of the daughters is supporting the father. And despite the new indictment and some of the new evidence that came forward, I don't know if that's going to continue throughout the process as evidence may get revealed, but for the time being, that's the case.
Great points, Michael. I want to play for you a clip that went viral at the time. It's still talked about. I'm sure these prosecutors will use it in the trial. This is when Barry's out helping investigators look for his wife, and he talks about how maybe a mountain lion got to her.
Was it a crash? I mean, the bike the way it was laying, it kind of looked like it, but there's not really that much damage to the bike.
Lion?
Yeah, it was lion.
No lion?
I didn't see anything that would...
Okay, Michael, thoughts on that and how you defend that?
He's suggesting something. How sincere it comes across, I don't know. You see these all the time when you have a husband who kills the wife, and then he's active and he leads the search parties and gets volunteers in the community to look for the wife, and then we find out he's the one responsible for the crime, and then he gets convicted, and the joke's on who. But I don't know. I don't have enough here to really make that comment. And it may be legit. There's a presumption of innocence, so we have to afford him that presumption. And maybe he's just simply suggesting an alternative theory in terms of why she's not there and what happened to her. Mountain lion? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
That clip just, I don't know. It's the one that I guess stuck with me the most, perhaps. We'll see what happens with this guy. I think he's going to fight it. I do, Michael. I think he's going to fight it all the way to trial. Unfortunately, our cameras are allowed in Colorado, so we'll get to watch it together. Michael J. Brown, thank you for all of this.
Yeah, he's definitely going to fight it. Definitely. Yeah, this case was from 2020. It's crazy. I can't believe. I hope it does stick. The first time the charges didn't stick due to discrepancies with the court and evidence or whatnot, and now they're back again. This time stronger, I think, hopefully. And yeah, I'm curious about the daughters. I want to know what's going on there because one didn't show up, one did. We know one was saying she didn't know about the abuse and she was that she didn't, know anything, la la la. And then the other one was saying that she was worried about her mom. So yeah. Okay. Well, make sure you guys are subscribed and have your notifications on. I will be doing part 2 of this reading either later today or tomorrow. It's already scheduled. Maybe it was Chloe. It does remind me of a Dexter. I love Dexter. So we'll continue reading this. We went through almost 50 pages tonight. We're going to finish it all because I need to know everything about this case. I'm really into it, and I really will follow the trial too as well. Make sure you guys hit the like button on. Yes, that's true. notifications on. I will be back later tonight too. I'll be back in a little bit to maybe do like a Melly After Dark or another true crime live. Not sure yet, but I will see you guys shortly. Thank you for being here. That was a long live. Shout out to my mods. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Thank you.